Yes, this is Kincade and Salciunas, and it's a football Friday. But it's not just any football Friday. It is Eagles Commanders NFC Championship weekend. Oh, my God, we're here. We will be talking about it all day today, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And if there are any Commanders weasels out there, we'll take your calls, and you'll be put to bed. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
It's been an absolute joy to watch Saquon Barkley look at the impact that he has made since the time he got here through the game in that blizzard.
That building was wild. This is one step away, folks. It's one step away.
From the Super Bowl. From the Super Bowl, guys.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
From the Super Bowl. From the Super Bowl. I love it.
And a good football Friday, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man, John Kincade. Johnny, yes, one win away from the Super Bowl.
Okay, that just in and of itself starts this day off in a perfect way.
It is a football Friday where we get to preview. I know it's the pregame show. The real pregame show with myself, Connor Thomas, and Bill Carlulo starts at 11 o'clock on Sunday.
How about 9 o'clock? How about 9 o'clock?
Well,
we're going to do we're going to do an extra Birds Extra.
That's the Birds Extra. I'm talking about pregame show, baby.
Oh, okay. Take top billing then. Okay, thank you very much.
Top billing. Westwood
there
One's
is no team in Salciunas.
No, Westwood One's broadcast of the game will be top billing on this station. But today is, it's the pep rally, it's the hype up train, it's the where are we at kind of show, because we are just days away from the NFC Championship game. And Johnny, I think you would agree with me. We've gotten the sense this week, or at least I've gotten the sense, but I imagine you agree, that people are more up for this one. That people are either expressing more confidence than in past weeks, or they're expressing more nervous energy, but not like the doom and gloom. It's just, oh, my God, they win, they go to the Super Bowl. Like, I really want this to happen. But it feels like people are actually up for this game compared to the last two. I mean, you've been in the buildings. You sensed that the Packers game didn't necessarily feel like a playoff atmosphere.
Didn't have the same juice.
The Rams game, you felt it when you were walking around, but because of the conversations surrounding the victory over the Packers were so odd, it never really felt like we turned the page for Eagles-Rams until maybe game day. This week's been a little bit different.
I think it's been a much more positive week.
Yes.
That makes us all smile a little bit because we're hoping to see I want a chesty fan base.
Absolutely. They should be. They're 6.5-point favorites.
Now, we say we should be. I always wanted to be in a chesty fan base. I always was envious of the chesty fan base.
Right.
I always thought, someday could we get there in Philly where it's, for a while, that Philly stretch of 2007 to 2011, it allowed us to be chesty.
Yeah.
But it still felt fleeting because there was only one title and everything like that. I want to feel like I'm part of a chesty fan base. And I think that this weekend is going to go a long way to us feeling that way.
Yeah, and I think people are starting to feel that way, absolutely.
By the way, the Randall, top notch.
Oh, thank you.
Top notch.
I almost texted him last night, tried to get him on the show. But
Looks spectacular.
But,
I went and saw him preach, by the way.
Oh, did you really?
Yes, I went
That's
and saw him. I went and saw him speak.
Pastor Randall.
I went and saw him speak in Vegas, and he was. I will just tell you, a incredible speaker.
Part of the reason why I didn't text him because the time difference.
Incredible. But he is an incredible speaker.
Yes, he is.
And he may have floors to lay this morning because he has the floor company.
Yep, he's a busy man.
So he may be laying
Randall.
down that tile.
But yeah, if you're not watching on YouTube, I'm rocking the Randall Kelly green jersey. By the way, has it been announced yet what the color scheme is Sunday? I haven't seen it yet.
I haven't seen either.
I would imagine it's midnight green.
That's my first thought.
I would hope you're wearing midnight green because that's your uniform. I would hope we're doing that. We're not allowed to wear Kelly. We're not allowed.
Oh, is that the rule?
I think you can wear the optional during the postseason.
All right, got it. All right, anyways.
That would be the call.
That'd be really cool. So today's a day where we ask for the vibe check from you, right? Because we have gotten that sense that people are ready for this game all week long. But now that you've reached the Friday, like yesterday, it was Butterfly Day. Yesterday was the day where we still expressed our confidence, but we did address some of the concerns that we had. You mentioned the special teams. I mentioned the obvious one, the Jalen Hurts knee situation, which you got some good information on, but we'll talk about that coming up in a little bit because there was some conflicting reports during practice yesterday from reporters versus players.
Important to note that nobody was in the media at practice.
Correct.
That is something we need to start with people.
Yes.
No media members were there for practice. They were there for warm-ups. They didn't see practice.
Right.
Now, that could be a good or bad thing.
Could be.
But nobody saw practice.
So where are you guys at for this game? It's 610-632-0975. That's like the fandom question, right? It's NFC Championship Friday, so we can be a little bit more fanboy on this kind of show today. However, we also have a topic, and it's something that you sent me. Well, you wrote it down this morning on the sheet of paper with the Sharpie. It's always nice smelling the Sharpie when I sit down at my desk. About this Eagles team and how whether or not this Eagles team is in the best spot ever. Now, is it to get to the Super Bowl or to win?
They've been this is the best spot ever to get to the Super Bowl. And I went back yesterday and looked at 2002 because I think that was the one. The 2002 season, January of 2003, you guys were barely shaving. And
I was not shaving at all yet.
No,
no shaving.
I heard at 8 years old, you had a little bit, Connor had a little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow.
Oh, I did have the mustache.
You did?
At the young age.
The little furry mustache?
And because I tanned a lot because of my European blood.
It showed up?
A lot of questions were asked.
Well, there you go.
I can't grow a mustache.
Well, I can tell you that this team is so much better than the 2002 team. And I know that we have members of the 2002 team that sometimes listen to the show. So I am saying it with the utmost respect because that team was freaking amazing. Should have went to a Super Bowl. This team's better. And I don't even think it's an argument.
Number one ranked defense, the weapons you have on offense.
It's not even an argument.
Not close.
This is the best team that the Eagles have ever had. The best team the Eagles have ever had sitting with a chance to go to the Super Bowl at home with a 6.5-point favorites. And the thing is, you're not disrespecting the Commanders by saying it. You are not in any way being overly obnoxious about your fandom. You're not being a fanboy. This is the best Eagles team that has ever had a chance to advance to a Super Bowl. Anything less is completely unacceptable.
Yeah.
Completely unacceptable. If this team doesn't cash this ticket, it's unacceptable.
If they poop the bed at home against the Commanders,
it's the worst loss.
Having a great season,
it's the worst loss.
Yeah, it would be horrible. Which is why I haven't even gotten a sense that is a case that would happen.
That's the way I feel too.
Like I've been not chesty, but
you've been a little bit, but
I've been feeling pretty good all week long. Like every time we do a read for our friends at Philly Sports Trips about the fully refundable deposit, we always throw in the line of, yeah, but you're not going to get that deposit back because they're going. They're going to the Super Bowl. They're going to New Orleans. At least that's the sense that we have been having. That's the feeling that we've been having all week long. Where are you guys at with this? We'd love to hear from you today at 610-632-0975. Have a little fun today. All right? It is championship weekend.
And enjoy yourself today.
And we're finally feeling it, that it's here. Right?
I feel it.
We've kind of felt it all week long, but even just, again, the conversations with Eagles fans, our fellow Eagles fans, it's been a lot more high-spirited this week in terms of a positive high spirit.
Sure, absolutely.
Not negative high spirit, which is what we sensed a couple of weeks ago, especially after that Packers game. So let's have some fun today. 610-632-0975. We got a lot in store for you today. Andrew DiCecco on a Football Friday, as always, joins us for the entire 8 o'clock hour. So we're excited for that. Kevin Burkhardt, who was on the call.
That's awesome.
This weekend for Fox with Tom Brady. He will be joining the show coming up at 7:25. So a lot to get to today. We'd love to hear from you. Now, I will say this. There's a pretty concerning development from the Eagles and their injury report yesterday. It's not Jalen Hurts. It's not A.J. Brown, but it's a big one. And we'll discuss it next. Now, you've done some digging, and I appreciate that as always. But when something goes down yesterday and the way they lined up, it freaks me out a little bit, Johnny.
I told you yesterday that Jalen was going to practice.
You were right.
And I was told that, and he practiced. Now limited, but he practiced.
He did.
I have a feeling we're going to have some information on some of the other guys.
All right, I hope so. It's Kincade Salciunas, Football Friday, Championship Weekend. Eagles Commanders Sunday at 3. Oh, my God, Lincoln Financial Field. We're talking about it all day today here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli.
They're going to beat the Commanders. They're better than the Commanders. Somehow that's lost in the shuffle. And it
This hour of Kincade Salciunas is presented by Bradford White Water Heaters. Bradford White, they're here for the pro.
It is 6:14 on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic on a football Friday before the NFC Championship game. And as fun as it will be today, as chessy as it will be today, let's get one bit of concern out of the way early, John.
Okay.
Now, you got some good info on this, but I will just say this. Cam Jurgens missing practice yesterday, and the Eagles are pretty good with giving guys days off, right? So,
yes,
this isn't out of the ordinary. But what really freaked...
And Wednesday is usually the day that they give a lot of the guys off.
But yesterday was Thursday.
Yeah.
And what really freaked me out was that Landon Dickerson was taking snaps under center. Now, I know that he is the de facto backup center.
Sure.
However,
and there's no discomfort with him playing center.
No. However, I will say this. If it is, no chance that Cam Jurgens misses the game, I would imagine Landon Dickerson would still practice at left guard.
I think you are 100% correct in that statement.
And they would have somebody else, Darian Kennard, Trevor Keegan, somebody else would just handle the snaps for the Thursday practice if there was, all right, Cam Jurgens, he's just taking the day off today. Landon, you stay at left guard. The fact that Landon Dickerson practiced under center yesterday concerns me even more with Cam Jurgens, and now you're talking about affecting two positions because now your center's gone, and now your all-pro left guard is now moving to center.
After Cam's worst statistical review game of the season against the Rams.
Okay.
He's been fantastic all year.
Oh, yeah.
So that would tell you that probably that back issue, whatever he's having, it's at least bothering him enough that it's keeping him from being at an optimal level. I believe we will see Cam practice today.
Okay.
But I believe it will be limited. And by the way, nobody will see it. Right. Nobody's going to see him practice. But I believe it will be listed as limited.
Okay.
And I do believe there is a serious chance of what you suspect, that maybe they realize he's not ready to go on Sunday.
And that's what freaks me out. When they say Cam Jurgens is out, I go, oh, that's a bummer. When I see Landon Dickerson's taking snaps, I go, oh. All right, so they're practicing as if this is the case.
One thing that was said to me yesterday is that with people with back issues and any kind of where there might be inflammation, swelling, anything like that, the conditions of the last few days do nothing but exacerbate.
Oh, yeah, the cold weather, absolutely.
That, and being out in it for extended periods of time is going to potentially have that thing flare up and even be worse.
Right.
I expect that today you will see him be limited or listed as limited, but I do believe that there's something to this. This isn't something just to go, oh, nothing to see
don't worry
here.
about it.
What are
right.
you guys worried
Yeah.
about? No, I believe there is something to at least concern yourself with. Now, the fact that Dickerson's there gives you a – Landon Dickerson can play center.
No, he can play center. He played center in college. It's
Right.
just, and he talked about just as much yesterday. He spoke to the media. He was like, look, it's just like riding a bike. I just had to take a few snaps, and I was back into the swing of things. But now your left guard position's impacted.
There is the truth.
And they had Becton was at left guard yesterday. So actually, it's
then you're affecting three
positions
That is
because
correct.
Dickerson's going to center.
I believe.
Becton's switching from right to left, and then
You think
Steen's
that's
your right guard.
experimental?
Could be.
With
I don't
Becton,
know.
I don't know. I would hate to see you go into an NFC title game where three positions are affected.
On the offensive line,
No.
with the run-first Eagles offense.
Would not like to see that.
not really cool with that. Here's Nick Sirianni, spoke to the media yesterday. Doesn't really give much here, as you can imagine, but here he is talking about Cam Jurgens.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where he is. I mean, it's hard to predict these things this far out.
So the tone didn't sound great.
No.
And that's the scary thing, too.
I get that a lot at home.
Yeah.
It's my tone.
Once you hear tone.
Yeah, once you hear tone, you've lost. But Nick Sirianni, again, he's getting better at this job.
Yes,
That was a perfect answer
That
yesterday.
was a perfect answer.
That was not word salad. That was not too much info. He just got on it and did it.
So to make it clear, confident about the game, feeling good about the game, excited to talk about the game all day today with you up until 10 o'clock. But that is concerning for me. I don't want this offensive line getting messed with, and there's a chance that three of the positions could be messed with if Cam Jurgens is indeed out on Sunday. You can text and call 610-632-0975. Coming up next, bulletin board material, Johnny. This was wild. A very interesting tactic by Commanders defensive coordinator Joe Witt.
That's one word for it.
Is he trying to strike fear, or is he just talking too much? We'll discuss the comments on Jalen Hurts next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A shift in the injury focus. I'm Connor Thomas, and we've reached Friday of NFC Championship game week, and the Eagles' injury concerns have shifted a bit. While Quinyon Mitchell and Jalen Hurts were both full participants in practice, Cam Jurgens and Dallas Goedert both missed their second straight practice. Nick Sirianni didn't sound definitive when he talked yesterday about Cam Jurgens.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where he is. I mean, it's hard to predict these things this far out.
Well, we're not that far out. I mean, the championship game's just a couple of days away. We'll have to hold our breath over the weekend and hope that Jurgens and Goddard are good to go for the game that could send them to the Super Bowl Sunday, 3 p.m. against the Washington Commanders at the Link. Flyers fell to the Rangers 6-1 last night. They'll play the Islanders tonight at 7:30 p.m. That game on WMMR. Sixers host the Cavs tonight at 7 p.m. That game will be live right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. We'll talk to Kevin Burkhardt coming up at 7:25. Andrew DiCecco will join us for the entire 8 a.m. hour. This update is brought to you by Rapid Radios. Their instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage for a limited time. Go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off. I'm Connor Thomas, reminding you that live coverage of the Eagles and Commanders in the NFC Championship from Westwood One starts Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Not only can you listen to The Fanatic, but you can also watch on 97.5 The Fanatic. 97.5 The Fanatic.
It is 6:25 on Kincade Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Football Friday, Johnny. Game, NFC Championship game coming up Sunday at 3 o'clock. The Eagles hosting the Commanders at Lincoln Financial Field. Of course, you can listen to the game here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
That's
thanks to
really
our friends
awesome.
at Westwood One, Iron Eagle, and Kurt Warner.
That's
will be on the call.
a 2 o'clock start for that coverage.
Yep, hour-long pregame show.
And then it'll be the game at 3 o'clock.
Damn right. And then we'd be celebrating around, 6:30, 7 o'clock?
Till about 11, midnight, later.
Well, no,
It's
I'm
gonna
just saying
be-
the celebration begins. Yeah.
There's a bottle of champagne that is chilling. And dry January would go down the tubes.
We made it
But I'm fine with it.
26 days.
Yeah, I'm fine with
That's
it.
pretty impressive, man.
I'm fine with it.
All right, so one of the biggest things that came out yesterday between the Eagles and Commanders was not the injury report, even though I'm going to make a pretty big deal of this Cam Jurgens thing. If he does not go, and if Landon Dickerson's playing center and Mekhi Becton's moving to left guard, and now Tyler Steen's playing right guard, 3/5 of your offensive line, the top offensive line in football is now different. And that's kind of scary. However, one of the biggest things that came out about this matchup yesterday were comments, bulletin board material comments, Johnny.
Well, what player was running their mouth? That's what I want to know.
It was not a player.
What announcer? What
It
talk?
was not an announcer. It was a coach, John.
Oh, there's nothing worse. Nothing worse.
Coach.
Really?
Joe Witt is the defensive coordinator.
Sounds like a guy who'd be popular here in Philly.
I'm
Yes.
more of a Joe Without guy.
Joe, okay, that's good. Joe Witt, defensive coordinator of the Washington Commanders. He had his press conference yesterday. Eagles coordinators speak on Tuesdays. I'm guessing the coordinators in D.C. speak on Thursdays. And so yesterday, Joe Witt's talking, and a lot of it had to do with Saquon Barkley, right? And, one of the quotes that he had was, hey, we just got to do whatever we can to contain him, because there's really not much to say about Saquon Barkley. It's just,
There it is.
let's do whatever we can that he doesn't have 205 rushing yards against us like he did against the Rams. But then he was asked about Jalen Hurts, and not just about Jalen Hurts the passer, but Jalen Hurts the runner. And take a listen to what a coach says behind a microphone. Now, I'm sure a coach says this inside a locker room all the time, but behind a microphone to the media, and it has since gone all over the place with anybody that talks football. Here he is talking about Jalen Hurts.
We've had a number of these guys that we've had to prepare for, and so the one thing is if he's going to run the ball, and if the coordinator makes a decision for him to run the ball, we're going to treat him like a running back, and we're going to hit him that way. So that's their decision if they want to get him hit the way that he gets hit. If they don't, they'll keep him in the pocket. So, but that's what we're going to do.
I don't think it was it wasn't too macho. Like, we're going to go out there and kill him, but we're going to go out there and hit him and hit him hard.
I'm telling you, I think that was pretty ballsy.
It was surprising to hear him say it behind a microphone.
Yeah, I was a little surprised. I was a little surprised by that. That's ballsy.
Especially with what happened the last time these two teams played.
Yes.
If Frankie Luvu doesn't drill Jalen Hurts in the back of the head late, no flag somehow, I still can't believe that. If Frankie Luvu doesn't do that the last time these two teams play, maybe we're not making as big of a deal of the comments made by Joe Witt yesterday. But because you already played a game in which you treated him as a running back and speared him and concussed him and made him miss time, these comments are inflated a little bit more.
I'm surprised that you would say that.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that Nick Sirianni and the Eagles coaching staff, when they petition, and both teams work the officials, by the way, as soon as officiating teams get announced, before games, after games, that's what's going to be when they're in the officials' ears.
Yeah.
Hey, watch for that. You better be watching for that. They're saying they're coming after our guy. And I would expect that that's something that I think the Eagles already expected it. But to say it
Well, that's the thing.
is strange to me.
Football's football, right? Like, I'm not surprised that if Jalen Hurts breaks contain and crosses the line of scrimmage, a guy might want to take a bit of a cheap shot, because if you knock out the quarterback, odds are you're going to win that football game. That happens in football all the time. This is nothing new.
And by the way,
But
I think they're playing it. I'm not being wimpy boy here. They're playing it exactly as they should.
Yeah.
When Jalen Hurts is a runner, they should absolutely be looking to punish him for running.
Same
as
for
they look
Jaden
to
Daniels.
punish, and as they look to punish Jaden Daniels, and as they look to punish Saquon.
Yeah.
That's what it should be.
But saying it out loud, saying it
Yes.
behind a microphone was an interesting decision made by defensive coordinator. Here was Nick Sirianni, because Sirianni then speaks yesterday after these comments went around, and Sirianni was asked about what Joe Witt had to say.
No, I mean, guys are going to every team is going to try to tackle Jalen like a running back. I mean, he's running with the football; they'll try to tackle him. That doesn't. We already are ultimately cautious with how we use them and how we think about each play because we know how important it is to have him out there. But I wouldn't expect anything else. Jalen knows how to take care of himself. And we know how to kind of help him do that as well as far as the way the scheme goes.
Did you notice in the Rams game, I think it was the Rams game, how aggressive his slides were?
Very aggressive.
Like aggressive. Like it wasn't like smooth. Like he got down as quick as he possibly
was not going
could.
to allow there to be any kind of, okay, was he sliding? Was he not?
Yeah.
He's not pulling any of the Mahomes crap.
Right. No, literally, like if people are bored, you shouldn't be listening to the show. But if people are bored, go back and watch Jalen Hurts' runs. When he slid, it was like as if a guy is sliding last second into home plate and trying to, hit the catcher. Right? Like it was aggressive, his slides, because he wanted to get down quick. So I wonder if he does more of that this weekend, especially now that this message is out there. Now, I want to play one more thing for you. So the best show ever yesterday with Tyrone and Ricky and Silvana, they had Barrett Brooks on from NBC Sports Philadelphia, and I love Barrett. And I love playing this clip for you because this is a guy that can give you a little bit more insight as he is a former offensive lineman in the National Football League. And here he is talking about how this O-line of Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata, and if everybody's healthy, Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson, Mekhi Becton, they will not have forgotten what happened last time these two teams played. Take a listen to Barrett Brooks talking about the mentality that the O-line may have on Sunday.
First of all, if I'm an offensive lineman, I have heat-seeking missiles launched right at Frankie Luvu. He's the guy that knocked out our quarterback the last time they played. And everybody's out there being all feisty and running around acting like they did something. You barely beat us with our quarterback and our starting safety out there, let alone y'all talking like y'all the best team in the division. Come on now. We're going to show you the best team in the division. We are the best team. You're hot right now, but we're going to make you not hot. We're ready to go out there and play. These guys understand what's at stake right now, and we're talking about a rookie. He's been playing great, but he's still a rookie. And the same thing to make you laugh, make you cry. You let our quarterback, you say you're going to hit him like a running back, we're going to hit your quarterback like a running back also. He had 81 yards the last time he played. We'll see if he gets that this time. We'll see if he goes around because we're going to try to knock his head off too. Same thing to make you laugh, make you cry.
I love that fired up
Dude,
Barrett
I
Brooks,
want him
man.
to play.
No, seriously, I do too.
That's great audio from Barrett Brooks.
That was awesome.
And you know what though? Barrett's not offended by the message from Washington.
No, absolutely not.
Because Barrett's a man who knows how to play the game in a tough way. But you know what? It goes both ways.
Yes, it does.
And I have no doubt this Eagles team can answer that bell.
Right, and that's why
if you want to play, you think you're going to come in and bully them in Lincoln Financial
good
Field?
luck.
This offensive line alone can bully the crap out of teams.
Yes.
They're not worried about this. This is great. And you know what this is? It's the seeds of a rivalry.
Yeah, it is the very beginning because this could be something that goes on for long
quite
time,
a few years.
man. Yeah.
By the way, I can't get over the jersey. I just got to tell you, it's getting me, it's very sharp. Seeing
you.
12, too. A big Randall fan.
Well, that's good.
Just seeing that, it's getting me fired up for the game.
Do you want to do a jersey swap after the show or something? I'll take your
I'll take the picture for you.
I have an AJ Brown. I have an AJ Brown in black. I don't want to get rid of that. I have a Kelly Green Jalen. I don't want to get rid of that. I have a Devontae in midnight green. I don't want to get rid of that.
You probably got a Wentz jersey hidden somewhere.
No, I have it. Ertz is my sort of older one that's stuck around right now. I think I have 4.
By the way, the Ertz thing.
Does it move you at all that he's coming back?
No, I want him to lose.
I want him to lose.
Respectfully.
Yes.
Is anyone saying I hope Zach Ertz is happy
there are
this
a
Sunday?
lot of people that are saying they're happy for Zach Ertz because there was a quote that went around a little bit. He talked about how he's happy playing football for the first time in a long time. I think leaving Philadelphia did mess him up.
I think it did, and I think that...
Remember the interaction with him and Sirianni after the game the last time these two teams played?
Now, I was told that he gave Sirianni the big smile to sort of be like, yeah, Nick, Yeah, smile. And he said, and Sirianni said something along the lines of, "Nice one catch."
Right. Yeah, and that's what led to the interaction
The little exchange
between the two.
But you
Yeah.
know what? Though? Talking crap between people that know each other and do like each other, and they do. Who cares?
Hey, and there's going to be a lot of crap talking this weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. Look, Chauncey Gardner Johnson literally got kicked out of the game last time these two teams played.
We did it yesterday with Bram, and then he came talking his crap.
All right, coming up next, we check our text line for the first time this morning. It's a Vibe Check Friday going to the NFC Championship game. But we're also talking about this team and historic teams when it comes to the Eagles. John's saying that this is the best position the team has ever been to get to a Super Bowl. And I don't think he's wrong in saying that. So let's hear from the fans coming up next. 610-632-0975. And you know what? We asked this question earlier about whether or not the fans are ready, John. What about us? We'll talk about that next as well. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli, Bill Colarulo, and Ray Dunn. They have a lot to say about Philadelphia sports.
97.5 The Fanatic. We'll get to our text line here momentarily, but let me ask you guys. I mean, our question for the audience today is whether or not they're feeling it and what the vibe check is. Look, I feel great. I really do. Like this, I don't want to sound disrespectful toward the Commanders, but Connor said something earlier in the week, and he's spot on. We wanted the Commanders in the wild card round. So why all of a sudden now in the NFC Championship game would we not feel good about this matchup? And all the credit in the world to what the Commanders have been able to accomplish. They squeak by with a win, but on the road in Tampa. Then they go to Detroit, and they put up 45 points. I get it. That defense is just destroyed with injuries in Detroit. But, hey, good for the Commanders. 45 points. Jane Daniels playing out of his mind. Terry McLaurin, another great play the last weekend. I get it. They're hot right now. But how could I change my opinion over the course of 2 weeks about wanting to play them in the first round of the playoffs and now all of a sudden be worried about them in the conference championship game? Like, no, this is the best draw that you could ask for. We talked about Eagles-Lions for months, and it didn't happen.
I would just suggest that everybody enjoy the moment, but stop with the nagging underdog mentality that's in the DNA. I hate having expectations on us. Celebrate expectations. Celebrate that you're a big favorite at home. Celebrate that it's the best team roster that they've ever had go into an NFC Championship game. Enjoy that. Soak it in. Wear it proudly. Don't do the, I'm afraid, what if they lose? And then I'm going to be disappointed, and then my friends will make fun of me. I mean, seriously, get out of here. If you're scared of your own shadow, stay home. Seriously, stay home. Because you can't be that way about this team. Should not be about this team.
Connor, vibe check today for you?
I feel great. I couldn't feel better about this matchup. I mean, listen, we wanted Washington to start. I wasn't worried about this team in the first round of the postseason, much less the NFC Championship game at Lincoln Financial Field. Well, I'll tell you guys something, because we know it's been a while, but I don't think we really grasp how long it's been. The Philadelphia Eagles have not gotten on an airplane since before Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Since November 25th, 2024. All right? I think they're about ready to get on another plane together. I think that plane's going to be bound for New Orleans. They just have so much going their way against a lesser opponent that they're familiar with at a packed stadium. They're not losing this game. They're not.
I don't feel they are either. I really don't. I don't have a bunch of apprehension. I don't have a bunch of. There's no. Like you were talking about butterflies. I think I'll feel the butterflies Sunday when it's kicking off.
I started feeling them yesterday.
I'm feeling nothing but unmitigated joy about the fact that we got a perfect weather weekend.
Yeah.
A perfect, everything's planned here with the Fanatic. We're all ready to go. I'm excited. It's going to be a big weekend.
Yeah, and to be clear, it was excited butterflies, right? Because of what this game means. If this game, if it goes the way we want it to, they're going to the Super Bowl, man. Mm-hmm. For the second time in 3 years. All right, Connor, what do we have on the text line today? I've gotten a sense that this week's been different than the last 2 weeks, where the people are ready to go, ready to fight, ready to go to war, ready to watch the Eagles win and head to the Super Bowl. What are they saying on the text line?
A lot of people are upset with Mr. Witt that had the comments about Jalen Hurts. Jackie from Mantua says, I think that coach sounded like he was putting a bounty on Jalen. Do you think he'd say that about Mahomes and think the refs wouldn't call something? And he put a target on his own QB now. That's all the motivation we needed. Go Birds.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe he said it. Look, and let's not be naive. He said that in a much more colorful way to his defense in a meeting room.
Correct.
He said to, hey, Frankie, do it again. You know what I mean? That stuff is being said in much more colorful ways behind closed doors.
By every position coach for every team.
I can't believe he said it behind a microphone.
The only thing that sucks about it for Washington, and it's great for us, is that the officials do get lectured big time heading into a big game like this.
Yeah.
The league.
About what to watch out for.
The league sits down for them. And the league will have them watching the first two games. Tape. And this is something once before talking to an official on a radio row. He says, before the Super Bowl matchup, we watch tape of these teams and how they play.
Yeah.
So I guarantee you they have watched the tape of the last matchup between these two teams and what happened to Jalen Hurts.
Well,
and look, easily someone could have called that.
Let's bring this to our own team. How many times did we start talking about how Jalen Carter needed to kind of calm down a little bit because he was building the reputation?
No question.
There was a call this year. It was the third straight week where he had a personal foul. He touched an offensive lineman, and the offensive lineman flopped. I forget what game it was.
Jared Verse, wasn't it?
It was Verse, wasn't it?
No, it was during the regular season. I don't think it was Verse. Maybe
I thought
it was.
he did that crazy flop push thing.
No, Carter did it. Jalen, they're on the field at the same time.
Yeah, you're right. You're
so
right.
it was an offensive lineman. Jalen Carter.
I'm an idiot.
Who was it? And I thought
I
it was.
forget who
I
it was.
remember something with Verse too, but
He flopped like crazy, but it wasn't Carter.
But Jalen Carter somewhat extended his arms, and the guy flopped as if he got shot. He looked like a soccer player.
Yeah, Jalen got into a lot of jawing last Commanders game.
And so he got a personal foul because of the reputation. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, the 2 personal fouls because of the reputation or the unsportsmanlike conduct penalties. We talk about that with our own. Imagine what's being said about a guy like Frankie Luvu, who took the big shot on Jared Goff in this past round, in the divisional round of the playoffs, and what he's done already this year against Jalen Hurts.
I just want everything to be done from a position of confidence. And I don't think this discussion we're having with the fan base, I guarantee you, does not have to be had with the members of this team. It does not.
No.
They are a confident bunch.
Yeah, well, they've been there.
And not I don't think they're arrogant.
No.
Because they have a lot of respect for the opponent. There's been no BS about the opponent. So I think this is a team that just believes Sunday is the final step.
Right.
And Nick Sirianni has fostered that atmosphere all year long.
And look, the Eagles are in a point where, all right, they were expected to be here.
Right.
The Commanders are at a point where it's like, wow, I can't believe they're here. So the Eagles are handling this as, all right, job's not finished. Right? It's another day. Remember Doug Peterson used to say, we're not done. And then the whole team would scream, yet. That's kind of where the Eagles are at this year, where job's not finished. They know what their goals are. They know what the goals have been set since the beginning of the season. And so they're going to go into this probably a lot more professional than the way the Commanders.
I would think so.
All right, you can climb in 610-632-0975. Coming up next, we will reset the show. We'll get a couple more text messages in because we've been told by Connor Thomas mucho text messages today.
That's correct.
I didn't even know he took Spanish.
So we'll check some more text messages. Also, Jordan Mailata is already a fan favorite, but his message will fire you up on this Football Friday. Hear his response when he was asked about the respect Jaden Daniels is getting and the respect that Hurts may not be. You're going to love it. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Juergens misses another practice. I'm Connor Thomas, and we've reached Friday of NFC Championship game week, and the Eagles' injury concerns have shifted a little bit as Quinyon Mitchell and Jalen Hurts were both full participants in practice due to according to the injury report yesterday. But Cam Juergens and Dallas Goedert, well, they both missed their second straight practice. Nick Sirianni didn't sound too definitive when he talked about Juergens yesterday.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where he is. I mean, it's hard to predict these things this far out.
Yeah, so not a lot of information there from the coach, and that might make you a little nervous. We'll have to hold our breath over the weekend and hope that Juergens and Goddard are good to go. The Flyers fell to the Rangers 6-1 last night. They'll play the Islanders tonight, 7:30 p.m. That game on WMMR. Sixers host the Cavaliers tonight at 7 p.m. That game here on The Fanatic. We'll talk to Kevin Burkhardt at 7:25 a.m. Andrew DiCecco for the entire 8 o'clock hour. This update is brought to you by Groundworks, your expert for basement waterproofing and foundation repair since 1997. Book your free inspection at groundworks.com. I'm Connor Thomas, reminding you that live coverage of the Eagles and Commanders in the NFC Championship from Westwood One starts Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Jeez.
Ricky Vitalico.
If I came in bases loaded, nobody out. I got
Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic on this Football Friday, leading into the NFC Championship game. Again, don't forget, you can listen to the game live here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Sunday, 3 o'clock kickoff, but 2 o'clock coverage begins Westwood 1. We'll be doing the game here on The Fanatic, and you'll be listening to Ian Eagle and Kurt Warner doing the call when the game starts at 3 o'clock. Really cool for the station. Shout out to Scott Masseller for making that happen. All right, coming up in a little bit, you're going to hear from Jordan Mailata because he had a message yesterday for the noise outside of NovaCare about Jalen Hurts versus Jaden Daniels. You're going to get that coming up in a little bit. But today we're trying to do the vibe check, trying to see where people are at. It's been a much more fun week this week. Not that we don't have fun every week doing this show, Johnny, but after a Packers win where we wanted to celebrate it, we didn't really get that much celebration.
Correct.
Early on in the week after the Rams victory, we had to deal with the national media knuckleheads, and we were basically fighting with what people were saying and not really celebrating the win itself. Well, we celebrated it, but we were doing a lot more reacting to what knuckleheads were saying. But once we got to Wednesday, that's when the tide really changed, and people were ready for this game.
Oh, yeah.
And we've gotten that sense all week long, and that's why we want to hear from you today at 610-632-0975. So, Connor, give us a couple more texts. Overall vibe check, and also your reactions to defensive coordinator Joe Witt of the Commanders talking about Jalen Hurts, and if he's out there running the football, they're going to hit him and hit him hard just like they would any other running back. Don't be naive. That stuff is said behind closed doors in a much more colorful way. It's just amazing that they put it out there publicly, and I imagine there's Eagles players whose antennas went up a little bit. If Jalen Hurts takes the slightest cheap shot,
oh, that place will erupt.
expect something to happen. Expect there to be.
The officials are going to be looking for it.
Absolutely. And Jordan Mailata will be the first person that will probably be there to defend his quarterback. All right, what do we got on the text line there, Connor?
Bruce from East Earl says, I personally am feeling great about Sunday, even more confident after that bum of a defensive coordinator made that ridiculous comment yesterday. Jalen Carter versus a backup. Cannot wait to see that. Super Bowl, here we come.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a big one. Later on in the show, NBC Sports Philadelphia did like their key matchups for this weekend's game, and they have the numbers for Jalen Carter and what you could expect to see out of him this weekend against a backup guard. I mean, Jaden Daniels, be ready, man.
Yeah, Jaden Daniels has got to be ready.
Because Jalen Carter is going to be coming up the middle often.
And to keep it objective, we also have to be a little bit more on alert because of the fact if Cam Jurgens is not ready to go on Sunday, we got to be ready that there could at least be some shakiness on the Eagles' offensive line.
Yesterday, I told you my biggest concern was the Hurts knee. If we did that topic again today, completely changes.
Correct.
It's the offensive line. Because if Cam Jurgens is out, he did not practice yesterday, and Nick Sirianni was asked about it, and he didn't really give you a lot of confidence in the way he spoke. If Cam Jurgens is out, Landon Dickerson was taking snaps at center yesterday. And that's what tells me it's a little bit more serious. Because
there's a little seriousness to it.
If it was just a day off, you're getting one of the guys that doesn't dress on game day to handle snap duties. The fact that Landon Dickerson is practicing at center freaks me out a little bit. And by the reports yesterday from the people that were at the practice, during the warm-ups.
They were at the warm-up, yes.
Mekhi Becton was at left guard, and Tyler Steen was at right guard. So that means your left guard goes to center. That's change number one. Your right guard goes to left guard. That's change number two. And then your backup right guard is now your starting right guard. That's change number three. And I don't want 3/5 of my offensive line looking different on the NFC Championship game.
Honestly, that could be something that is a total curveball that could cause major problems.
Could be.
We're not sounding the alarm. We're not just saying that's something where you say, you're feeling really good about the matchup. If that was to happen and all those positions were shifted around, that would be something that would concern me greatly on Sunday.
Absolutely. You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. Give us one more text, Connor, and then I want to play this clip from Jordan Mailata, who had a message for the people constantly talking about Jaden Daniels and Jalen Hurts.
We bleeped it.
No name on this one, but they
Had
say,
to.
yeah. Guys, I have no doubt that our top-tier offensive line can handle a job without Cam Jurgens. Landon Dickerson is naturally a center, and to be honest, who's getting any push up the middle with him there? I believe that Becton will get the job done wherever he plays. He's been really good this year, and I have faith in Tyler Steen as a depth piece. We're going to be fine. Let's go Birds all the way to the Lombardi Trophy.
If Steen is a rotational piece on Sunday, I absolutely co-sign what that gentleman said. If I got to count on Steen for a whole game, I have reason to believe that could be a major issue.
Now, I will say this. All season long, whenever somebody went down the offensive line, they never really missed a beat.
No.
Right? Fred Johnson did a great job filling in for both Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata at times. Tyler Steen has done a great job filling in for Mekhi Becton. And also Landon Dickerson, because Landon Dickerson's walked off the field shaky a couple of times this year. I just don't want to deal with in the NFC Championship game.
No.
I'm sorry. I'll be selfish.
I don't want it either.
And it just kind of popped up that all of a sudden he's not practicing yesterday. So something to definitely keep an eye on, especially with the practice report today. You believe he will
I
be at least
believe that we
limited
will
today.
hear a limited type of view. And suggestion was made to me yesterday that the extreme cold, with a tight back and a back that's been giving some issues, could be the reason why you would rather have him not even.
A lot of heating pads.
Oh, my gosh.
A lot of heating
You know
pads.
what? I should have had Shaq send him over some of that Salon Paws or whatever it is.
Icy
hot.
Yeah, come on, man.
Whatever it is. I mean, come on. He can't.
One of
look,
the 85
dude,
things he endorses.
Dude, he can't even keep straight the things that he endorses.
Oh,
Let it be.
Did he forget some of the things he's
I
endorsed over the years?
I guarantee you.
All right. So Jordan Mailata spoke to the media yesterday. Yesterday was a great day for press conferences and locker room availability. You're going to hear from Lane Johnson later on in the show. But Jordan Mailata was asked a question about the respect that Jaden Daniels is getting, and deservedly so, but maybe the lack of respect that Jalen Hurts is getting. We did bleep it out because you had to. Here was Jordan Mailata during his media availability yesterday.
Stout, you talked about many things.
I'm sorry.
Caliber of quarterback despite his record.
Just want to apologize for this. I couldn't give I just want to apologize. I'm sorry. I couldn't give a rat's ass about whatever anybody says outside this building. It ain't going to help us win championships, and that's our goal.
I love that.
He has truly been unleashed. Honestly, the departure of Jason Kelce, the departure of Fletcher Cox, the younger guys have stepped up now and said, okay, our team now.
Yeah.
Now we have to step up. He's unleashed.
Well, and you saw it last year. He started to be a lot more vocal. And remember, even if you go back a couple of years ago, before he was even really talking much to the media, there was that great photo after Jalen threw like an interception or something to end a game, and Mailata was the first person there to have his hand on his back. Mailata seems to be a great teammate, a great protector of Jalen Hurts. And now, to your point, he is the vocal leader of this locker room. Like, he's the guy that he won the Writers Award for.
Yes,
I
the
forget,
good guy.
The good guy
No,
award.
he's the good guy
Yeah.
award. You saw our friend Zach Berman.
Yes.
Presenting it to him, and it looked like something out of. I mean, hey,
Bit of a height difference between the two.
Look, you stand next to you. He walks past you. It feels like you expect to hear fee fi fo fum.
Right. He's a
He
big
is
man.
a monster.
Yeah.
A monster of a man.
But he's been great, and I absolutely loved hearing that yesterday. Like, look, we don't give an F because it does nothing. It really does nothing for them. If anything, it does more for us, right? We react to everything that's said. We talk about everything that's said, but they don't give a damn. Now, I do know that, and you can speak on this even better than I can. There are a lot of players that have, rabbit ears.
Sure,
when it
there
comes to
are.
what is said about them.
There are.
Just this week. You saw Isaiah Rodgers a little upset with the headline, deservedly so.
By the way, deservedly so.
It was a horrible headline by the
I wouldn't have
Inquirer.
bet on him doing that, but I'm still.
He's going to come after you because you keep on making the betting jokes.
Look, hey, he earned any betting joke he gets, but
I don't know
that
if he earned $1 million.
That was out of line.
Yeah,
I don't know. I didn't see his account.
Anytime we mention his name, you have to make the joke
because of the fact that it is something that I also look. That was a bad look. That was a really bad look. But the man does not write the headlines.
No, I know he doesn't.
If someone doesn't if people outside the media do not understand that. But once you're told it, you should go, oh, okay, I understand it now. He did not write that headline.
Right.
And I read the piece, and I actually thought Marcus Hayes
it was a very well-written
I thought he did
story.
a fantastic job with that story.
But I will say this.
I am done complimenting Marcus Hayes for the morning.
You go back to reputation. And there's a bit of a reputation there with Marcus Hayes. And so when you see the headline.
It can be.
The headline people did him no favors.
No, they didn't do him any favors, and it was flat out stupid.
Yeah.
It was stupid.
Yeah, it was not smart at all. We love the Inquirer. Just can't believe that was the headline. All right, give us a text message there, Connor. How are the people doing this morning?
They're doing well, man. Everybody's pretty fired up, especially considering what Joe Witt had to say. We have a check-in here, no name on this one, but they say, not saying I'm scared of this game, but we do have to remember, Washington as a team has played Jalen Hurts the best of any roster we've seen multiple times for 3 years straight. We should all be excited for the opportunity, but do not overlook our opponent.
First
3 years straight means nothing.
Yeah, it means nothing. This team's complete. I mean, the Commanders had what, the biggest turnover?
They had the biggest turnover in the NFL.
Yeah, so it's
it's a totally different staff. Totally, and by the way, half the roster different. And this year, the Eagles actually, I think, played Washington better than they did last year.
Yeah,
even though they won both games.
Yeah, Jalen played just fine in the first game, and he was playing just fine in the second game until Frankie Luvu took him out.
Correct.
All right, we'd love to hear more from you at 610-632-0975. Now, speaking of Jalen Hurts, he practiced yesterday. Now, there were some uneasy reports that first came in, and as John has mentioned a couple of times, during warm-ups. So you'll hear from Sal Paolantonio coming up next about his firsthand account during warm-ups. And then how about you hear from a player after practice speaking on Jalen Hurts? You be the judge. Sal Pal versus Lane Johnson. It is Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Tyrone Johnson, Ricky Vitalico, and Silvana Kelleher. The best.
The 7 a.m. hour of Kincade Salciunas is presented by the Bet Parks app. You know they've got pre- and post-game shows with Seth Joyner and Derek Gunn live at Parks Casino every game day. Got to be 21. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
It is 7:10 on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic. Coming up in about 15 minutes, the voice of Fox A-Team, Kevin Burkhardt, will be joining the show. He'll be on the call this Sunday with Tom Brady starting at 3 o'clock. So we can't wait to talk to Kevin about this upcoming matchup. A former season ticket holder at Lincoln Financial Field.
One of the stories that I tell my students every year, that if you want to get into this business, you better be ready to grind, because you don't just step in and say, oh, I'd like to be a SportsCenter anchor. It's not working like that.
Right.
And Kevin Burkhardt has been grinding his way all the way to the top job on Fox.
You told the story yesterday when we were promoting that he would be on today, that he was selling cars.
In the offseason.
In the offseason when he was doing baseball coverage.
I mean, he's that kind of guy.
That's
and a great
that's a lot
guy.
of work. And an awesome guy, yeah.
Awesome guy.
And very talented. So we'll hear from Kevin Burkhardt coming up around 7:25. But let's start here this segment. So yesterday, Eagles held the practice at Lincoln Financial Field. We've talked a lot about the absence of Cam Jurgens and what they did while he was out. Landon Dickerson under center. Mekhi Becton moves from right to left guard. Tyler Steen then was in at right guard. Remember, Tyler Steen actually was the favorite to win the job before Becton took over earlier this year.
Well, we knew nothing about Becton. Except that he had been a complete bust in New York.
Right,
he was
tackle.
He was just undercoached.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look at Stoutland U, man. So here's Sal Palantonio yesterday. He was one of the members of the media that was there before the practice started. And he does mention that in the clip here. But here's Sal Pal talking about how Jalen Hurts looked in the limited time that the media got to see him.
Here's what I saw today at practice just a little while ago. They're still on the practice field, Laura, but I just came from the practice field. Check it out. Here's the video of him warming up. What I see is a quarterback trying to get ready to go. He is stretching the knee, left knee. He's definitely a little bit stiff. He's moving gingerly. He's not trying to overdo it. He's trying to put some pressure on that left knee, shift his weight, deliver the football. We're not seeing much practice, just a little bit of warm-up. But what I'm seeing, Laura, is a guy that's trying to get himself ready to go.
So that was Sal Pal. That was before practice. So they were just
that was during warm-ups.
Yeah.
That was not during practice.
Right. And now
that's important to note.
I can only imagine. I don't think that they were probably making Jalen Hurts do gassers.
No, I don't think
they weren't having him do Oklahoma drills.
I don't think this is Remember the Titans.
Yeah.
I don't think anything like that.
Maybe he was taking it easy on purpose, and maybe he also took it easy during practice because, let's face it, his health is number one at this point. So that was Sal Pal reporting on ESPN after he left the warm-up period of practice. Here's Lane Johnson after practice talking to the media.
How's Jalen looked over the last couple days?
He looked good. I was out there today firing around, so we had a good practice. We went to the link, so it was good. He was mobile, he was moving, and
So he said he was mobile and he was moving. Now, Lane Johnson, also a vet in this league, is not going to go out there and say, yeah, he looked like crap. Washington should be prepared for a quarterback that's not going to be mobile.
You're not fooling Lane Johnson, though.
Right, absolutely.
You're not fooling him into saying something he doesn't want to say.
Right.
So you got to remember that. He's bright, he's smart, he knows what he's doing. I believe Lane Johnson, though, is closer to the truth just from what I've been led to believe.
Yeah, and you said it earlier in the week that maybe the media has been making a little bit more of it than what the players and the team themselves.
That a little bit more of it.
Right.
Not that it's a non-story.
Right.
Not in any way that it's like it's a story and it's a concern. But it certainly is maybe being talked about more by us than it is by anybody else.
And so, look, if Jalen Hurts is good to go, which he will be, he's going to play.
Oh, no, he's playing.
You also got to expect, and this is the, real life conversation, they're going to shoot him up with something.
Of course they are.
They're going to give something to his knee. You mentioned the $6,000 brace that he's probably going to be wearing on his knee.
I was floored to hear about these things.
Well, they're basically robotic, man.
They're braces that by the way, that the NFL has employed this year that run as high as $9,200. like
Yeah.
for a knee brace.
I remember Vic was wearing, what was it, the Kevlar vest
Kevlar
for the ribs.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, look, they got all kinds of stuff for him. But, it was good to hear from Lane Johnson there that he does look a little bit better. You could text in. You could call in at 610-632-0975. Again, Kevin Burkhardt is going to be joining the show coming up in about 10 minutes. So, look, the mobility question for Jalen Hurts was my biggest concern yesterday. Doesn't mean I don't think he can still drop back and pass. And against this defense, because of how bad they are against the run. And here's the thing. Everybody keeps on making this point of if Jalen isn't mobile, the ground game isn't as dangerous. That is true.
There's no question that's true.
However, let's not act like this Commander's defense has been good against the run all season long. They have not been against all running backs and against all quarterbacks that are also not mobile.
Yes. They've been terrible. They're awful at it. They're bad. And by the way, they're bad in pursuit because they don't tackle well.
Right.
And the thing is, when you've got Jalen Hurts shed 2 tacklers the other day on a touchdown run of 40-some yards. Do I expect that to be this Sunday? I do not. But do I expect that it's going to be Saquon Barkley able to bounce off people and get a ton of yards after contact? Yeah, I do. I think it's going to be a good day for it.
I'm curious. I'll try to pull this up for you as the show goes on. The week-by-week rushing leaders for opposing teams against the Commanders. Because the narrative is, again, well, if Jalen's not as mobile, then they don't have to worry so much about the ground game. Well, I'll just go back to week 1 just to have it in front of us here. Bucky Irving for the Buccaneers had 62 yards on 9 carries. Rashad White, 15 carries for 31 yards. That was with Baker Mayfield at quarterback. So not the most mobile quarterback.
No, but he's still.
And the team ran for 93 yards. And that was not Saquon Barkley. Right? So we'll see as this show goes on. Let's check the text line there, Mr. Thomas. You can text the show or call in at 610-632-0975. What's the vibe check that we're getting so far this morning?
So Jay in Gilbertsville's feeling pretty confident. He says, this is the week we finally get our blowout. The national media is creating all these false narratives about Jalen Hurts and the offense, but the Birds are the best team in the NFC. Go Birds.
Birds are the best team in the NFC. And you saw that the second the Lions lost, that the Lions just could not overcome everything that they've been dealing with. Doesn't mean that if they were fully healthy, we'd be saying the Eagles were the best team in the NFC. But the fact is the Lions weren't fully healthy.
They were not.
The Lions were banged up. And it eventually, and we kept on saying at some point those injuries would catch up to them. We were hoping it would be the NFC Championship game against the Eagles.
Trying to stop Jaden Daniels when you are when you're at full strength and their defense is not, and on 3rd string and 4th string guys.
Right. It's going to be hard.
It's going to be a problem.
Eagles, they're healthy defensively. We love
healthy.
that. All right, coming up next, Kevin Burkhardt. He's going to be on the call Sunday for the Eagles-Commanders NFC Championship game alongside Tom Brady. He's going to be joining us coming up next to help preview this upcoming game. So you don't want to miss that. You can also text and call in 610-632-0975. It is Kincade and Salciunas on this Football Friday here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A concern on the offensive line. I'm Connor Thomas, and we've reached Friday of NFC Championship game week, and the Eagles' injury concerns have shifted just a little bit. While Quinyon Mitchell and Jalen Hurts were both full participants in practice yesterday, Cam Jurgens and Dallas Goedert both missed their second straight practice, and Nick Sirianni didn't have a lot of information to give to us about the statuses of those 2 players, so we'll have to hold our breath over the weekend and hope that Jurgens and Goddard will be good to go when we get to the NFC Championship game Sunday, 3 p.m., Lincoln Financial Field against the Washington Commanders. The Flyers fell to the Rangers 6-1 last night. They'll play the Islanders tonight at 7:30 p.m. That game live on WMMR. The Sixers host the Cavs tonight at 7 p.m. That game will be live here on 97.5 The Fanatic. We'll talk to Kevin Burkhardt coming up next at 7:25, and Andrew DiCecco will join us for the entire 8 o'clock hour. This update's brought to you by Corona. Join Ricky Bo and Tyrone at 97.5 The Fanatic's official Birds playoff watch party at Wicked Wolf on Chestnut Street in Center City on Sunday at 2:30 p.m. presented by Corona, and enter for a chance to win exclusive football prizes. I'm Connor Thomas, and reminding you that the live coverage of the Eagles and Commanders in the NFC Championship game from Westwood One starts Sunday afternoon at 2 here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Bill Colarulo.
Now we keep hearing the Eagles can't keep winning.
We'll be joined momentarily by our man Kevin Burkhardt, who's going to be on the call this Sunday for Fox, of course, with Tom Brady. And I think Brady's gotten better as the season's progressed. But I
think he has too.
I do believe there's been a little bit too much love recently for Brady.
I think he's done a good job, but and better than I expected. How about that?
Yeah, better than expected, especially
better than I expected.
Without being able to do the meetings and all that kind of stuff because he works with the Raiders.
Yeah, that's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. The Comcast Business Hotline, every day in business, a big day. Let Comcast Business help you move forward with what's next. Johnny, very excited to talk to this man, and I know that deep down he is excited as well because he gets to talk about his roots, even though he hides it pretty well. Eagles, Commanders, NFC Championship game. Kevin Burkhardt will be on the call Sunday. Kevin, good morning. What's going on, brother?
Good morning, guys. Yeah, I can't wait to get back to Philly. It's going to be great. Let's go.
Kevin, I can't imagine that you would have ever thought, even at any time during the regular season, that Eagles-Commanders would have been your NFC title game.
No, of course not. Right? Look, I think there's a lot of ways you thought this could go. I thought the Eagles and the Lions were the two best teams. Obviously, Detroit, was all year long. But there have been times in history where the team gets hot and runs through the wild card, and they're just playing at a great pace right now. And really, that Week 16 game against Philly is when Washington caught fire. That has propelled them to where they are right now. And the reality is, their win last week was no fluke. They were just better and at points dominant over the Lions. So I just think Jaden Daniels is a star. I don't think it's a fluke at all. So, yeah, I wouldn't have guessed this one, but I think they've earned it. There's no doubt about it.
Now, can he continue, and you're talking about Jaden Daniels, that red-hot play and the Commanders' red-hot play against a defense like this? And I know the Lions had a spectacular season, but we can be honest with ourselves and realize that the Lions' defense was pretty much dismantled with all the injuries, whereas this Eagles' defense is healthy and number one in the NFL. So do you expect a 45-point performance from that Commanders' offense this Sunday?
I don't expect that. I think you're right. Like the Lions were, really banged up, right? They were holding. It was pretty amazing, honestly, what Aaron Glenn was able to do with so many injuries on that team and the way they were playing to end the year. And I think it finally caught up to them. But look, yes, it's a different animal this week. I think the Eagles' defensive line is a lot better than Detroit's was. I think obviously we know what their defense has done. But, the last time they played them, they dropped 36 on them, and they turned it over 5 times. So I don't think it's going to be easy for the Eagles' D, simply because of the way that he is processing things. I think there's a quandary there for Vic Fangio is, what do you do? We know he's not a blitzer, right, in his scheme normally, and they haven't had to because their front four has played so well. And when they started to blitz against Daniels the last time they played him, he's torn apart the blitz as good as anyone in the league. It's been pretty remarkable, and he did it last week time and time again. So I think it's going to be interesting to see exactly how they decide to play him. Do I expect them to have a 45 points on the Eagles' D? I don't, but I could see this game being some points in this game. I really could.
Kevin, one of the things that's fascinated me this week, though, in the national discourse has been the fact that people are, I think, sort of downselling the Eagles' number one defense and talking about, can the Eagles keep up with the Commanders' scoring? I think they can, because the Washington defense, let's just say it's been hot knife through butter for most good opponents that have played them.
Yeah, listen, I think, I know we haven't. Like when we did the Packers wild card game a couple weeks ago, we talked about this a lot, and we came on the air talking about so different, right? Like 2 years ago, the Super Bowl team, and yeah, they were running centric, but it was more like Jalen Hurts, and we know Miles Sanders had a great year, and but it was the Jalen Hurts show. And it's amazing in 2 years difference where, this is Saquon Barkley and the defense, this team. That's their personality. That's who they are right now. I think there's so many great stories on their D, and they've played exceptionally well with the exception of a couple moments, right? The fourth quarter against Washington, early on against Atlanta when they let them down the field. They haven't had much in terms of letting down where they really haven't been great. And I think there's just so many good stories. We know about Zach Bond. I think Nolan Smith has been awesome. He's a guy didn't play that much, didn't have much of an opportunity last year. I think he's just been great. Already 3 sacks in the playoffs. So, look, I'm with you. I think that's their if they get to the Super Bowl, it's on the defense and it's on Saquon Barkley. It's been their personality all year, and I expect that's what's going to keep carrying them.
So sticking with that, I mean, you literally have done a couple Eagles games this year. He also here in the playoffs. The Eagles have won 16 games this year. They're 16-3. And yet the conversation is always about the passing offense and how it might limit them or hurt them down the road. They're in the NFC Championship game. What do you make of the amount of criticism the passing offense gets? I get it, some of it warranted, but it's almost like people forget that they're in the NFC Championship game and one win away from the Super Bowl playing this way.
I mean, I would say, who cares? Look, I really, truly think that if they need the passing game, it's going to be there for them. Now, look, could it be a little bit more crisp? I think, it's helpful if Jalen Hurts gets rid of the ball quicker. He's much more efficient when he does. And we had, a lot of those, I think 6 of those sacks were over 4 seconds last week when he had the ball. So I think that's been a theme when their pass game has struggled. But, it's one of those things that the reality is, there's not enough balls to go around sometimes. And if you have a game where Saquon's running for 200 and they haven't stopped him and you've got the number 1 D in the league, what's wrong with winning like that? I think I'd be concerned if there's a game where they need it. If this is a game where, let's say, Washington loads up and they're having a hard time breaking one with Barkley and they need the pass game and it doesn't show up, well, that's a different story. But to be fair, how many games have they really needed it and it hasn't come through? Most times they haven't because they're winning and they run a team out of the building in the second half and their defense holds the fort. So I'm not as concerned. I think, when you look at it, obviously they'd like to have A.J. Brown have more than 3 catches in 2 playoff games. And I do think that will come. I do. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think it can be better. I think they'd love it to be better. But, I mean, they're winning with the formula that they've had. So what's wrong with that?
Kevin Burkhardt's on the call for Fox with Tom Brady. You may have heard of him. And Aaron Andrews on Sunday. So everybody in Philly will be watching that. I got to say, Kevin, that one of the things is you get access that a lot of us, even in local media, do not get. When you sit behind the scenes with Nick Sirianni, tell us about him. Tell us about him as your observations, especially sort of in comparison to other coaches that you talk to.
Yeah, you're right. It's a cool perk of our job that we really get a lot of inside information and get to see what these organizations are made of on the inside and spend some time with these guys. And I think Nick is exactly who you see. I think that's the beauty of him, right? He does not hide who he is. He is not a fake. He is exactly who he is. He is a really good football coach who's fiery as hell, who his emotions maybe sometimes a little bit too much on his sleeve, right? But the other part of it is, I mean, you think about it, I mean, he would be the 3rd head coach to reach 2 Super Bowls his first 4 years ever. I mean, I almost feel like because of all the emotional stuff, and look, there's been a couple things I think he'd probably like to take back, right? But he almost doesn't get credit for all the winning he's done. It's very odd. And if he gets to another one, by winning on Sunday, I don't know how you could ignore what he's done from a winning standpoint in 4 years in Philadelphia. So, yeah, he is exactly who you see. He's a really good guy that's fiery and emotional. I enjoy talking to Nick. So I think that's a good thing for Philly. I think he fits, right? I think that's just the way it is. And, sometimes the emotions maybe get a little heated on the sidelines, but he's not the first coach either. So that's what he's like.
John, I think Kevin was listening to the show the other day because we asked a question for the audience. What does 2 Super Bowl appearances in 3 years do for the status of Nick Sirianni and also Jalen Hurts? Because let's face it, Kevin, Jalen Hurts, all he does is win, and he doesn't get talked about like Mahomes or Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen. He doesn't get that same sort of respect. Any idea why that is for both Hurts and Sirianni? And what could that second appearance do for them when it comes to local media coverage, national media coverage, fans of other fan bases? Everybody talks about Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes like they're the best things because they've done it. These 2 guys might do it twice in 3 years.
It's as simple as winning in the whole thing. That's it. I mean, you know how it is. You get there, and then people don't talk about that as much. They don't remember it as much. If you win it now, and then you've been to 2 and 3 years and you win one, I mean, I think the other part of it is, look, there were a lot of lean years in Philadelphia, obviously, right? And I certainly know that. I sat in the stands for a lot of them. But I tell you what, the last 20 years in Philadelphia football have been pretty good. with what they've had in place and the stars there and the championship game appearances, and if they get to another Super Bowl and can bring home another Lombardi trophy, I don't know how you ignore it. So it's interesting, right? I think it is one of those things for whatever reason, but I just look at W's, and all they have done is win. I know they want 2 more wins, but they got a pretty good record on their resumes, I'll tell you that.
What does it mean to call an NFC title game in Philly for you?
Oh, it's awesome. It's awesome. Listen, I think the reason we all get into this business, right, radio and TV, is because we're all diehard sports fans, right? So that gets us in and the love of sports, and we go down this path, and everyone has a favorite team. And look, I said this, I got asked this question when I did the Super Bowl a couple years ago. I was fortunate to call that game.
Sure.
Of course we're partial. You don't even think about it when you're doing the game. But, when I'm walking on the field pregame and I look up and I see where I used to sit and then I get to call the game, it's amazing. I always appreciate every second of doing this job because I love it so much. But, yeah, I'd be absolutely lying if I didn't tell you I didn't have a little special place in my heart to do it, in Philly this weekend. It's crazy cool.
Well, Kevin, we're going to be listening, of course, watching Sunday, 3 o'clock, Eagles-Commanders NFC Championship game. You and Tom Brady holding it down. You guys have been doing a tremendous job all season long together, and we appreciate you taking the time coming on with us today.
Thank you, Kev.
Appreciate you guys. Appreciate it so much. Have fun and enjoy the game, all right?
All right, there's our man, Kevin Burkhardt, joining us on the Comcast Business Hotline.
We will have
every
fun.
Day business is a big day. Like Comcast Business, how we move forward with what's next. Absolutely.
We're going to have fun, Kevin.
Absolutely going to have fun on Sunday. And I imagine we could be having fun all night.
Don't even start.
How many people, I don't want to get ahead of myself, but
you can say it.
How many people don't even end up watching Bills Chiefs? I might not.
I will be, by the time I leave the building and everything like that, I probably wouldn't get home till second half. But
I'm talking about the partiers.
Yeah. Oh, the partiers are going to be wild.
The people on Broad Street are not watching Bills Chiefs, man.
But the people there on the side of the Wells Fargo Center that have been tried to lure me in this week.
You might get lured.
If you wave me over today, I might be able to do this one.
All right, coming up next, I have a question. Don't forget, Andrew DiCecco going to be joining us for the entire 8 o'clock hour today. But before we get to Andrew, I have a question for the two of you. And then eventually I will ask Andrew this same question. I think the answer is no. But we'll discuss it next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
The Philadelphia 76ers.
Sixers win. Play that.
It is 7:43 on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Thanks to our man Kevin Burkhardt for joining the show. You'll be able to hear that again on 97.5thefanatic.com and our YouTube page and everything. We love Kevin, and we're really excited for him to do the game on the NFC Championship game. He does not let his Eagles pride bleed through on the broadcast.
He does
is
not.
The utmost professional broadcaster. However,
Yeah, but he should.
no, but it's got to be really cool for him. He said it during that conversation. He can look at his seats, where he used to sit when he had season tickets.
And
so
he can feel
that's got to
the
be cool.
importance of it. He feels the importance. He understands the importance of the matchup.
He understands Philadelphia fans. All right, so I have a question for both of you. And eventually we'll ask this question to Mr. Andrew DiCecco, who's already in here, so he's gonna get a little tease early. Has Howie Roseman gotten enough credit for this year?
Not at all, but he will when he wins Executive of the Year.
So you're
running away with it.
Connor?
Running away with it.
Has he got enough credit this year?
No. I think he's gotten a lot. I do think he's gotten a lot. I don't think it's lost on many people that Howie Roseman has done an incredible job. It took us a while to come around on it because, of course, you have to see some of these guys develop. But could he get more? Absolutely. There is boundless limits on what Howie Roseman should be praised on this year.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think we've heard it enough. I don't think we've talked about it enough. We try to. Look, I don't know if people still feel a certain type of way about Howie. I don't know. I don't know why you still would. But you look at that, all the finalists for individual awards that the Eagles have, they're all here for the first time.
I'm happy to take responsibility for all of that.
He signed Saquon. Now, I believe Zach Bond had a lot to do with Vic Fangio, but
Vic Fangio.
Yeah.
The thing is, though, here's the thing that you don't underestimate. An executive that actually listens to football people, I think Howie's learned that in his career and gotten better at it. And gotten better at it.
He used to not.
So we applaud the man for it, which I know you're doing. But I mean, we applaud somebody going, yeah, I used to suck at this.
Yeah.
Now I'm better at it.
And that football guy, Vic Fangio, left because of the Jonathan Gannon situation, kept a good relationship that he came back here. I mean, all these finalists are guys that Howie Roseman acquired in one way or another during this offseason. And
I had a buddy of mine say yesterday, I could have picked Saquon.
That was not the norm in the NFL.
He's a Falcons fan, so just to put that aside. And I said, yeah, anybody could say Saquon was a great player, but how many teams say don't spend on a running back?
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, as a talk show host, I raised my hand. I was one of those people who always I don't want to spend big money on a running back. I was stupid because I should have said I only want to spend if it's an elite running back. But I made a blanket statement. No, I was wrong. That was a wrong take. And he's proven it to be wrong. It was a great decision.
Yeah, the way he's been playing
literally
all season long.
Great decision to pay a quarterback, pay a running back.
I just wonder if Howie Roseman's not getting enough respect. Now, you mentioned it. He's probably going to win Executive of the Year. I would hope so. I'm always worried that maybe a team like the Commanders that nobody expected to be as good as they were this year, maybe that is where the Executive of the Year award goes.
He did a fantastic job. Washington has brought adults into the room that are doing a great job.
Right, exactly.
But as you pointed out to me, that roster is not they're not set in stone for the next. The Eagles roster is going to be knocking on the door again the next few years.
Oh yeah, with this defense, man.
Washington's not.
Yeah, we'll see if they can rebound next year when they lose a lot of these guys that were on 1-year deals.
And who do you pay and who do you not pay?
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Connor, what do we have on the text line? You can text in 610-632-0975. Again, don't forget Andrew DiCecco joining us next segment for the entire 8 o'clock hour.
A man in white.
We have a great text here from a fan in Fort Worth, Texas. And they say, I get to march around every day in Cowboys country going to another NFC Championship game. My 4-year-old son is finally understanding that it'll always be boo Cowboys, boo Washington, who are the Giants. The Eagles have given us nothing but fun and celebrations each Sunday, and I can't wait to see another one this Sunday in the NFC Championship.
Can I be completely honest with you guys? This is a thought that I had the other day. He mentions his 4-year-old son, and Coop turns 3, on March 21st. I almost feel bad for him.
Why?
Because he's not getting it yet. You know what I mean? In his lifetime, think about this. Phillies have been to a World Series. The Eagles have been to 2 Super Bowls, and he's never really gotten to fully experience it.
So he's not experiencing that energy of that.
Yeah,
yet.
like he does the Eagles chant, and when
Can he sing the song?
Yes, he can.
Live could by two.
And yesterday,
I'm not comparing kids, but
yesterday when I picked him up, I was listening to the best show ever. When I picked him up from daycare,
good choice.
And Tyrone said Jalen Hurts, and Cooper goes, oh, "I love Jalen Hurts."
Damn right, Coop.
Because when Jalen scored the touchdown last week, I went nuts, and he was just fired up.
All right.
And so he likes the Eagles, but he doesn't feel it the way we do. So part of me feels bad that all these good things are happening before he's really, like the Iverson run, that was kind of that first year of memory for me when it comes to sports.
Super Bowl 39 Sunday.
Oh, that's awesome.
Olivia just over 1 year old.
Yeah.
Wearing her jersey.
Ready to go.
All ready to go.
Fly, Eagles, fly, baby.
Fly, Eagles, fly.
All right, Andrew DiCecco joins us for the entire 8 o'clock hour starting next. And we are going to play for him, and I'm sure he's already heard it and talked about it, the clip from Joe Witt, defensive coordinator of the Washington Commanders. I know a lot of Eagles fans have chimed in on our text line. We'll get some more text messages about that coming up as well. 610-632-0975. It is Kincade and Salciunas on this Football Friday, getting you set for the NFC Championship game that you can hear right here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Keeping an eye on injuries. I'm Connor Thomas. This update's brought to you by Groundworks, your expert for basement waterproofing and foundation repair since 1997. Book your free inspection at groundworks.com. We've reached Friday of NFC Championship game week, and the Eagles' injury concerns, well, they've changed around a little bit. Something to keep an eye on. Quinyon Mitchell and Jalen Hurts, both full participants in practice yesterday, so that's good news. But Cam Jurgens and Dallas Goedert both missed their second straight practice. Nick Sirianni didn't sound very definitive when he talked about Jurgens yesterday.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where he is. I mean, it's hard to predict these things this far out.
So a lot of people in Philly will be holding our collective breaths over the weekend, hoping Jurgens and Goddard are good to go for Sunday, 3 p.m. at the Link against the Washington Commanders. Flyers fell to the Rangers 6-1 last night. They'll play the Islanders tonight at 7:30 p.m. That game on WMMR. Sixers host the Cavs tonight at 7. That game here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Andrew DiCecco will join us for the entire 8 o'clock hour. Coming up next, this update's brought to you by Discover. Do you know what's accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide? That's right. If you guessed Discover, you're correct based on the February 2024 Nielsen report. I'm Connor Thomas reminding you that live coverage of the Eagles and Commanders in the NFC Championship from Westwood One starts Sunday afternoon at 2 here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Vacation? Business trip? Don't worry. You can still hear all your favorite
Salciunas 97.5, The Fanatic. Just 24 hours ago, we announced that the Eagles game, NFC Championship game, can be heard here on 97.5, The Fanatic this Sunday. Thanks to our friends at Westwood One. Ian Eagle and Kurt Warner will be on the call. So you'll be able to listen to that game live right here on 97.5, The Fanatic. The pregame coverage from Westwood One begins at 2 o'clock. So the pregame show with myself and Bill Colarulo and Connor Thomas will go from 11 to 2. But from 9 to 11, Johnny, you're going to be working.
I'm working with the man who's going to lead the show, Andrew DiCecco.
Good morning, Mr. DiCecco.
Good morning, guys. Great to be with you on this Football Friday.
Are you juiced up? Like, I know you're Mr. Journalist, you're Mr. Unbiased, but you get to cover an NFC Championship game, man.
Look, anytime you get to cover a game of this magnitude, and I covered Super Bowl 57, and that was something that I'll never forget, but NFC Championship game in Philadelphia, again, it doesn't get any better than this. I can't wait to cover it.
You remember me leading you to good pizza?
We went to Pomo Pizza. Yeah, we did.
Was that the place that people said is literally the best slice they've ever had?
I got to tell you, it's great pizza.
It was very good.
Like, you wouldn't think Phoenix, Arizona, you're not going, I'm expecting to have the.
I remember I talked
pizza.
to Bobby about it. And I was like, can you really have a favorite slice of pizza? But I guess you can.
I got to tell you, this place is exceptional if you're ever there.
Pomo Pizza.
Wait till
Love that.
Wait till Bourbon Street.
All right, Mr. DiCecco, and let me just get this out of the way because I don't need this conversation being halted. You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. We're going to get to the Joe Witt stuff in a second, but I want to start here. I am concerned about Cam Jurgens because if he was just taking the day off, I would imagine they would have had somebody else under as the center position, and they wouldn't mess around with Landon Dickerson and also Mekhi Becton. The fact that Cam Jurgens was out and Landon Dickerson slid over to center and Mekhi Becton slid over to left guard and Tyler Steen was getting reps at right guard, that tells me there's something to it. Nick Sirianni was asked about it, and in Nick Sirianni fashion, didn't tell you much, but his tone, take a listen. Here's how he sounded yesterday when asked about Cam Jurgens, and the tone wasn't necessarily something that instilled a lot of confidence in me.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where he is. I mean, it's hard to predict these things this far out.
So you're there. You talk to the people. Is my concern warranted?
So on Wednesday, they released the estimated practice report. They held a closed walkthrough, and he was listed with the back injury. Wednesday's typically a day where you see certain players have the designated for rest because it's that midweek, and they're trying to ramp them up to make sure that they're healthy as possible for Sunday. Thursday's the big day. Thursday's their lengthiest practice.
Yeah.
And to not even, we didn't see him out there. We saw Dallas Goedert out there, but he was off to the side. But so then you see Landon Dickerson taking snaps, and it was actually Tyler Steen who was at left guard.
Okay.
Mekhi Becton stayed at right guard.
Okay.
That was the configuration there. But even in-game, it's been Landon Dickerson. Whenever Cam Jurgens has had to leave, that they slide in.
Right.
Nick Gates is the backup center by default, but really it's Landon Dickerson. So to see him out there getting some snaps there, anytime you have a starter who's not there for a Thursday practice, it is mildly concerning at least. And I got to tell you, there were some pockets on social media that were like outraged that we were reporting that they weren't there. They say, they're definitely going to be out there on Friday, so what's the point? Okay, but yesterday was Thursday, and he wasn't out there.
Why are people upset by that?
You'd be surprised.
It's not common to miss Thursday. It's not common.
Right, so then you hear, here they go, the media again.
No,
it's like, no, we're doing our jobs. We're reporting information from practice.
It is not common for Wednesdays toss out the window.
Right.
But Thursdays is
Absolutely.
not common. So
basically you hear the comments from Nick Sirianni, but Landon Dickerson says, I'm personally expecting him to play. Tyler Steen spoke, and he expects Cam to give it a go. It's the NFC Championship game, but you never know with a back injury. And John made a great point, and this is absolutely true. When you're outside,
mark that tape, please.
when you're outside in these frigid conditions for a back injury, that aggravates it worse sometimes and really impedes its ability to heal or get to where they need it to be. So that's not really totally surprising that he wasn't there, but you would like to see him out there on Friday, at least in a limited capacity. We'll learn a little bit more, but we're only out there for about 5 minutes today.
You do not, again, just to clarify for people, you guys aren't there for practice. You're there for the warm-ups.
Exactly.
You're there for
warm-ups and
everybody's getting
individuals,
ready.
right?
And individuals, and then you're out of there.
Right.
At that point, I was led to believe last night by a pretty well-informed person that we will see Cam Jurgens today. If all goes according to plan, we will see him out there today, probably listed as limited.
Right. So
he'd be limited.
So there's always the chance that we might see him out there for team stretching, and we'll be able to report that. And then there's also a chance that for the 5 minutes that we're out there, we don't see him out there, but that doesn't mean that he doesn't come out after we're gone.
That is correct. See?
Right. Okay.
There you go.
All right, this is why
this is the insight we need.
This is why
that's
we
good.
talked to Andrew DiCecco.
So we might say we don't see him right now, but then we go in, and then maybe 10 minutes later he's out there or he's doing work elsewhere, and we just, and it comes out later.
Competitive advantage.
Right.
That
there
Nick
you go.
Sirianni would do. All right. Bulletin board material time there, Mr. DiCecco. So yesterday, Joe Witt, defensive coordinator to the Commanders, said something, and we are not naive. That is 100% said behind closed doors in much more colorful ways. And that was about Jalen Hurts, and if he ever breaks contain and starts running with the football, what they would try to do to him. Take a listen to what Joe Witt said, but the question is, are you surprised it was said publicly? Take a listen.
We've had a number of these guys that we've had to prepare for, and so the one thing is if he's going to run the ball and if the coordinator makes a decision for him to run the ball, we're going to treat him like a running back, and we're going to hit him that way, So that's their decision if they want to get him hit the way that he gets hit. If they don't, they'll keep him in the pocket. So, but that's what we're going to do.
Are you surprised it was said?
In a public setting, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's the classic case of a first-time defensive coordinator maybe not being as familiar in how to conduct himself at a podium. Now, it's one thing to say it behind closed doors, but to actually say that on a podium. This is also a coach who was for 3 years prior to this. He was the secondary coach and passing game coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. So Jalen Hurts has been a thorn in the Cowboys side for a number of years. So he's probably a little bit frustrated of seeing Jalen Hurts kind of run up and down the field there. It's not something you say, but Nick Sirianni answered it as well as any coach could have. He said, no, when he's running the football, we're expecting teams to tackle him as such, but we're very cautious in our approach, and Jalen's cautious, and we're going to kind of approach it the same way. So I think that's bulletin board material internally. They're not going to vocalize that, but whenever you hear that and knowing how protective that offensive line is for Jalen Hurts and how much he's really endeared themselves to the team, that's going to be on their mind when they're out there.
Vic Fangio would never have answered that question that way.
Never.
I mean, and that's the thing. So when you look at what the coach speak, I've been praising for like a couple months now. I think Nick Sirianni has gotten, I'm going to dare to say, he's getting really good at it.
Very good.
As far as his press conferences are better, his answers are better. He's cagey when he needs to be. He tells you what he needs to be. I really feel like Nick Sirianni's smelling himself, like feeling himself, like he's feeling confident and large and in charge. You observe it all the time.
Yeah, and it's the growth and evolution of a coach. And sometimes you need to have moments like the Cleveland Browns game to hit that reset button, look inward, and realize what you need to do to kind of make those alterations to your approach. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for that. And by the way, this is a side topic, guys, but I'm absolutely floored that Nick Sirianni was not mentioned as one of the finalists for Coach of the Year. I think that's incredibly short-sighted and total disrespect.
Who was the coach you would have taken out?
Probably Andy Reid.
Andy Reid.
He's a two-time defending Super Bowl champion. I mean, seriously, how is he the coach of the year?
The two coaches that I would consider that should be the two finalists would be Dan Quinn and Nick Sirianni.
They are the one seed.
I think Quinn, O'Connell, and I do think, and you hate him, Sean Payton. The job that Sean
Payton did a nice job.
He was a finalist, so
no, but I mean, those three should be in there. I think Nick Sirianni should be fourth on that list.
By the way, I think he's a good coach. I just hated that he was like, "Oh, this New Orleans situation. Peace out, guys. I'm going to go in the media for a year and then try to get the Dallas job."
And he was trying to get the Dallas.
He didn't get the Dallas job, and then he goes to Denver.
Right.
So that's why I don't like him.
He's just a hell of a coach.
I'm going to run this team into the ground and go, "See you guys. I'm out."
Mickey Loomis did that.
I'm out.
Mickey Loomis did that.
You don't think it was a combo?
Yeah, I think Mickey Loomis is still large. He's been large and in charge time, but not. I don't know how he escapes all the bullets.
So Andrew, do you expect chippiness on Sunday more so than just your typical NFC Championship game when you hear Joe Witt say what he had to say, defensive coordinator of the Commanders, and if there's the slightest thought of a cheap shot, maybe as he's running out of bounds, somebody extends their arm a little bit, do you expect the players to be ready to go in case something like that happens?
Yeah, I would expect them to kind of alert the officiating crew before the game, keep an eye on this. Remember what happened last time. But I also think that the Eagles are going to be far more poised for this moment, knowing that the intention for the Commanders is probably going to be, how can we try to get under their skin? How can we throw them off their game and incite some sort of retaliation, which is what they did effectively against C.J. Gardner-Johnson in the first game. Jalen Carter's another one. The more they try to hold him, you wonder if they're going to try and get some sort of a response from him. But I think the Eagles will be ready this time.
Andrew DiCecco is with us for the entire hour. Coming up next, we're going to get into the nitty-gritty. All right, we're diving into matchups to watch on the field, X Factors, Eagles, Commanders deep dive comes your way next with Andrew DiCecco. If you have any questions for him, of course, you can always text them in, call them in, 610-632-0975. Just make sure you let Connor know that you have a question for football guy Andrew, and he will answer them. It is Kincade and Salciunas on this Football Friday as we're getting closer and closer and closer to the NFC Championship game at Lincoln Financial Field, South Philadelphia, between the Eagles and Commanders. We're talking about it all day today here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Join 97.5 The Fanatic and Philly Sports Trips on Thursday, January 30th podcast or watch on YouTube.
And of course, we are live weekday morning 6 to 10 on 97.5, The Fanatic.
It is 8:11 on Kincade Salciunas 97.5, The Fanatic. 8 o'clock hours on Fridays means Andrew DiCecco for the entire hour.
He's here, baby.
And Andrew, this is when we turn to you, football guy. You need to give us the key matchups to keep an eye on, X factors, all the nitty-gritty for this upcoming game between the Eagles and Commanders. Third time these two teams are playing one another. Obviously, the second game had a major factor when Jalen Hurts gets knocked out in the first quarter of that football game, and you saw just how much that impacted the offense and then eventually impacted the defense when they were not able to sustain drives. Yesterday, we went through the fourth quarters of both times the Eagles and Commanders played each other. The Eagles scored 3 touchdowns the first time they played in the fourth quarter alone. In the fourth quarter, the last time they played each other, the Eagles punted, kicked 2 field goals, turnover on downs. Or they didn't, it was when the game ended because the offense wasn't the same. Congratulations to the Commanders for scoring 22 points in the fourth quarter. If Jalen Hurts is in the game, they're burning more clock. That's not happening. But, Andrew, we want you to dive deep into this game for us. What are you keeping an eye on? What are these matchups? What are you talking about with your fellow media members? What are you going to tell the audience about Eagles-Commanders NFC Championship Sunday?
Well, the first thing I'm looking at is Jalen Carter because he has a very favorable matchup on paper, and really any matchup that against Jalen Carter is going to be favorable because he has the ability to take over games. But Washington is going to be without their right guard, Sam Cosmi, who is gone with a torn ACL. So they have a number of players that they're sort of deliberating between as to who is actually going to be their right guard. But in my estimation, I think it's going to be Trent Scott, who's sort of a journeyman. This is his 4th team. He came in last week in relief of Cosmi, played 45 snaps, he was exceptional in pass protection, but he's a left tackle really by trade. That's a favorable matchup no matter how you draw it up. I think Jalen Carter is going to be able to really collapse the pocket and force Jaden Daniels to the edges, in my estimation. And then my favorite matchup of this game is going to be A.J. Brown versus cornerback Marshawn Lattimore. Marshawn Lattimore is extremely handsy, and he's grabby, and he likes to get physical. And I think he's going to try to maybe outsmart himself a little bit because it's going to work against him. They're going to be on high alert in this game, and I think that's a good way to get the Eagles started, tossing one up there and getting a flag, because we know that now the officiating crew is going to look for that, so they're not going to catch anybody by surprise.
Terry McLaurin has been contained.
Mm-hmm.
He was shut down first matchup.
Oh, 1 catch, 2 yards, something like that.
And he's been contained pretty nicely this year. How do you expect it to be on Sunday?
Well, this is the matchup, John, and that's a great question because I'm expecting Quinyon Mitchell to see a lot of Terry McLaurin, and Quinyon Mitchell, of course, is primed to return from the shoulder injury. He mentioned to us on Wednesday, he said, feeling good, ready to go for Sunday were his exact words. And so I think that even Quinyon Mitchell, as that rookie, he has that quiet confidence about him when he's on the field. That he doesn't flinch. And knowing how that matchup went, he gave up a touchdown to Terry McLaurin in the second game. I think he's going to go out there looking to reaffirm in the minds of many about his dominance, and he shut him down in the first matchup. So that's a game that I almost think he's going to welcome past targets because I think he's gonna shut him down.
Can you speak to the Commanders fans, or not even the Commanders fans, I'll say national media, that keep on bringing up if Jalen Hurts is not mobile, the ground game is not as effective. Now, we all know that it makes it more dangerous when he can run. But your response to somebody saying, oh, well, if he can't move, it's not going to be as good.
I mean, it's going to be a little bit hindered because Jalen's ability to be that +1 really unlocks the full ability of the running game. But the Eagles have the best offensive line in football, and the Commanders have one of the worst defensive line or run defenses in the NFL. So I think that in of itself is going to lend itself to Saquon Barkley being able to find creases to run through. They're going to be able to do it. They wouldn't do it as effectively or as consistently maybe as they have throughout the season. But this notion that, they're going to be able to stop the run, load up the box, and force the Eagles to throw, Jalen Hurts has proven that he can throw the football. Yep. I don't know where this misconception's coming from. Threw for 290 just a short while ago against the Steelers. They can win any way that they want to. But, yeah, with Jalen's ability to maybe not to be as mobile as he has, that would certainly alter the complexion of the game, but they're equipped to win any which way.
Now, this is a matchup that both teams are facing. Sean Hockley and his crew. He's the referee for the game. One of the crews, as a crew chief, that calls the most penalties. Now, you talked about Marshawn Lattimore being handsy.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think a referee's crew that calls fourth most penalties of any head referee, do you think that's a good thing for this matchup for the Eagles or a bad thing?
I think that's a good thing. Jalen Carter gets held an awful lot. A.J. Brown's going to get held an awful lot. The Eagles are the better team. They're the more talented team. They don't have to resort to those type of things. So I think that in a game like this, the over-legislation of the way that it could be officiated could work in their favor.
All right.
Like hearing that.
Could work in their favor. I like hearing that as well. So, look, Eagles-Commanders on Sunday, and we'll get your prediction later on, but you've been talking to this team all season long, and you've obviously been a part of the practices and all the locker room stuff this week. Where are they at mentally? Because we were talking about this earlier, that if you're looking at the two teams from the outside, Commanders are happy to be here. Eagles were expected to be here. Commanders are house money. Eagles are, hey, we're supposed to be here. Job's not done yet. What's been that mentality inside the locker room this week from a lot of the guys?
Primed and ready, waiting for the opportunity to go out there and play another game, and they're approaching it as if it is another game, knowing that they have to be detailed. I thought Lane Johnson really said, he really echoed a strong sentiment about how he approaches games like that. He said emotions don't win football games, execution wins football games. And that really has been, by and large, the similar mindset throughout the locker room. And Nick Sirianni, it all starts with him. Every single week, the Eagles show up ready to play. You rarely see them come out flat or lack attention to detail, and that stems from his coaching and his ideologies. And so you're hearing a lot of players echo those similar sentiments. So I expect them to come out there knowing exactly what's at hand, knowing that they're playing for something even greater than that. But they all know they have to take care of business on Sunday before anything else.
Saquon's energy is always a positive. Is he a guy that when you've observed it, even before and after, any chance he's waited for his whole life for this game, this stage? He came here to go to a Super Bowl, win a title. Any worry that he's going to be a little too amped up? Because sometimes players can be too amped up.
Right. No. Yeah. With Saquon, he's always very stoic. He has been a positive force and a great leader in that locker room. But I think he knows that there's times where the onus may fall on him to be the driving force of the offense. I don't think that's lost on him. I don't think he's making this game any larger than what it is, any more significant than what it is. He's just going to go out there and continue to do what he's done all season long and rely on that offensive line to pave the way. I never got that sense.
Andrew DiCecco sounds confident, man.
He does. I
think he wants to play.
Oh, he could. A snap or two, maybe.
I might have a snap in me running down there on kickoff.
I love that. All right, earlier today, I asked John and Connor a question, and I want to get your answer on this, Andrew. Has Howie Roseman gotten enough credit for this season? Find out what Andrew DiCecco has to say coming your way next. We'll also check our text line. Any questions for Andrew, you can send them in at 610-632-0975. It is Kincade Salciunas, Football Friday, Eagles Commanders this Sunday here on The Fanatic. 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Shifting around the O-line, I'm Connor Thomas, and the Eagles are ready for the NFC Championship game. We've reached Friday of NFC Championship game week, but they may have to shift around the offensive line a little bit when it comes to the game against the Commanders, 3 p.m. Sunday at Lincoln Financial Field. Cam Jurgens, Dallas Goedert both missed their second straight practice. We saw Landon Dickerson handling center duties in the observable part of practice yesterday. Here's what Sirianni had to say about Jurgens.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where he is. I mean, it's hard to predict these things this far out.
So not exactly a very confident Nick Sirianni on that. We'll have to hold our breath over the weekend and hope Jurgens and Goddard are both good to go. The good news is Quinyon Mitchell and Jalen Hurts were both full participants yesterday. Flyers fell to the Rangers 6-1 last night. They'll play the Islanders on the road at 7:30 tonight. That game on WMMR. Sixers host the Cavaliers tonight at 7. That game right here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Andrew DiCecco remains with us for the entire 8 o'clock hour. This update's brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app today. I'm Connor Thomas reminding you that live coverage of the Eagles and Commanders in the NFC Championship from Westwood One starts Sunday afternoon at 2 here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Not only can you listen to The Fanatic, but you can also watch on 97.5.
Wonder, though, which storyline we would be talking about on Monday. The Eagles' offense exploding and doing what we've been begging for them to do, or the defense taking them to the Super Bowl?
I think it's going to be the defense. I think the defense is really going to buckle down and make Jaden Daniels look like Jaden Daniels in Game 1, where he was still able to do a couple, he had some moments, but he didn't take over the game like he did in the second matchup. I think this is going to be the game where the weather's not going to be a factor, and you're going to see the number one defense really rise to the occasion.
So you've been saying all week that you also expect the Eagles to throw the ball a little bit more in this game. Do you still feel that way, especially with the developments of the offensive line, with Jalen Hurts in the knee? You still feeling that way that they have to throw the ball?
Yeah, I do. I mean, obviously, they're still going to run it. It's still going to run through Saquon Barkley. They're going to use that offensive line to really wear down an undermanned front for the Washington Commanders. But I'm expecting Jalen Hurts to get involved and his receivers to get involved, namely A.J. Brown, on those short completions, on those slant patterns to get going over the intermediary levels of the defense with tight ends Dallas Goedert or Grant Calcaterra. But, yeah, I do believe that you're going to see a little bit more volume in the passing game.
If there's volatility on the offensive line as far as fill-in guys and guys having to shift positions and everything like that, would it in any way dictate that Kellen Moore's calling a different game, do you believe?
I think initially, John, the plan of attack will be to run the football, get the snaps out of the hands of Landon Dickerson, let's say hypothetically, into Jalen Hurts and get that communication ironed out. And then sort of open things up, use the run to set up the pass is kind of what I'm going to.
John, remember how we were talking about how the Commanders fans have been
chesty?
Very chesty, but I believe unintelligent this week. And you've made the point, it's been a long time since.
Yeah, but when they did not have the internet. When they were relevant, we didn't even have the internet.
Not even America Online, the dial-up?
Seriously, they weren't even doing that.
No, so I just saw a tweet from this guy named Dwayne.
Yes.
In response to the Cam Jurgens injury.
Oh, okay.
But he says,
watch it, Dwayne.
Pray for Cam Jurgens and Mekhi Becton. Nothing's wrong with them, even though there is something to Cam Jurgens. They just got to see these demons for 60 minutes. And it's a gif of Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne celebrating a play.
Now, I like Daron Payne a lot.
But the gif they used was when the Commanders were trailing to the Cowboys 21-0.
Oh, no.
Why would you use a GIF in which your team is down 21-0?
Because I don't think they have a lot of GIFs to use.
Maybe that's what it is.
There's probably not a lot there in the archives.
That's what it is.
I just don't know how you would use that.
Is he getting just dragged for that?
Yes.
Oh, good.
I would imagine you could find another Jonathan Allen and Daron Payne GIF.
If you have friends out there, family or otherwise, just take it into consideration this week. Before the internet even really existed, was the last time they played in games like this. So it's a fan base that is used to having to scribble notes to talk trash. Or maybe they would have to call their mom on the phone and pay for a long-distance call.
Chart the box score on a piece of loose-leaf paper.
They're not used to being in modern times. This is like we're battling a fan base coming out of colonial times.
Yeah, when Paul Revere got done warning people about the British, his next job was telling people the Commanders fans think they're good.
Yeah, it's good. I mean, this is their third name change. I mean, come on.
That's right.
I mean,
that's
seriously.
right. A lot has happened for them.
It is. It's a rough time.
All right, Connor, what do we have on the text line for either of our topics today or any questions for Andrew DiCecco? You can text and call on 610-632-0975.
Kyle in Delcroft says, the only question I have for football guy Andrew is, what's the best grease to use for the poles, Crisco or olive oil?
What up, Kyle?
34-17.
What up, Kyle? Appreciate the question. Crisco would probably be the preference there, I imagine. But now the question is, do they do it before Sunday in anticipation, preemptively, or do they do it? I guess that they would have to.
Yeah, they got to do it Sunday morning.
You have to do it
But, do you think that would be a situation in which they would do that, or would they save that for a potential?
Well, I remember the Super Bowl, they were putting up the guardrails on Broad Street.
They did do that.
And then, obviously, they unfortunately lost, and so they had to take everything down, and people were like, oh, you jinxed it. Like, no,
you have to prepare.
You got to prepare. So I imagine they're in the works.
You and I
But I can't remember if they did that. If anyone climbed poles when they beat the Vikings that year.
They did.
No, they did.
I climbed the poles specifically, and I got up there pretty easily. So.
Okay, well then Crisco it is.
Yeah, to me, it's
Crisco ain't stopping me, baby.
I had this discussion with Andrew the other day on the post show.
Yeah, and
which
I thought
everybody should be checking
you
out
were insane
on YouTube. You like the street celebrations and pouring out into the street and everything like that for just getting to the Super Bowl?
I guess to each their own. I like to cover
it. It's a conference championship.
Okay, it's something that does. You say it like so emphatically. It is something that does not happen.
It's hard to do
anywhere.
It's hard to do.
That's not true, Johnny.
It 100% happens everywhere.
I can understand.
They're having downtown celebrations, blocking streets. Get out of here. Get out of here.
I can understand the folks that want to celebrate that because it's so hard to do.
They're like,
unless
we're blocking the streets.
Bored.
And the Andy Reid Eagles struggled to clear that hurdle so many different times. It's one of the toughest games to win in all of sports. So I can understand those who want to celebrate.
I will tell you there was a blizzard that they were recovering from when they went in 2005, January. But it was not celebration in the streets, blocking traffic.
I'm watching a video right now from San Francisco last year after they won the NFC Championship game, and the streets were flooded with 49ers fans.
How many? What are we talking?
Flooded with 49ers fans. This happened just last year.
It happens everywhere.
Yeah, dude.
Let people celebrate
Conference championship's conference championship, man.
And then after the Super Bowl when they lost and our fans did it?
Well, no, that was weird. I agree. That's dumb.
So we're not with that.
But we don't celebrate losses.
Celebrating losses is stupid.
Just trying to decide the parameters.
All right, coming up next, I saw an article this morning from Fox from a man that I really respect. He's been covering the NFL for a long time. We've talked about Ralph Acciano on the show a lot. The headline bothered me. We'll talk about this next. It's about Jalen Hurts. Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Now, a Birds.
9:41 on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic, as we're getting you closer and closer and closer to the NFC Championship game, man. Eagles, Commanders, we got you covered all day Sunday, starting at 9 o'clock with John Kincade and Andrew DiCecco. Bill's going to join you, at 10? Bill Colarulo?
Bill will jump in at, he jumps in the 10 o'clock hour with us.
Oh, okay.
So he's working an hour before the pregame show. Pregame show starts at 11 with me,
This
Bill,
thing's going to be
Connor.
big, dudes. I mean, we're making it big.
It's going to be a 3-hour show with me, John. Me and John will be for 3 hours, and then Bill comes in for the yeah.
And then
you stay for the first hour of the pregame, right?
No, that was special circumstances. But if you want to,
I'll do the call-in.
I'll do the call-in. NFC Championship game.
As long as we have our lunch date.
Yeah, I'll do the call-in if you're good with that.
I'm good with that. All right, so Fox, I read this article this morning, and I don't think the body of work, and I'm talking about the article itself, was over the top. And we found this week here locally that sometimes headline writers don't do their writers any favors.
That is correct.
But I saw an article from Ralph Vacchiano, who's been covering the NFL for a long time. Used to be the Giants reporter, then kind of did the NFC East, and now he's all over the place for Fox doing the NFL. And the headline for the story was about Jalen Hurts and the passing offense. What's wrong with Jalen Hurts? Eagles need a lot more from their star quarterback. Now, I get it. He could do more in the passing offense. But what's wrong with Jalen Hurts? Like, is there... Andrew DiCecco, is there anything wrong with, and this is not about the knee, this is about his play. Have you seen anything in the first two games where you go, man, there's something up with this guy?
Is there anything wrong with the Eagles winning? Which is
exactly.
what Jalen Hurts is playing, winning football. He's playing clean football, and it all comes down to the clean operation, which Kellen Moore talks about all the time. I think that's definitely misleading there. Obviously, the passing, well, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the passing game looks like the greatest show on turf back in yesteryear in the early 2000s, but I think it's going to come alive a little bit more this week, and those questions or those pieces aren't really going to be as prevalent. But yeah, I mean, Jalen Hurts is playing efficient, winning football. Efficient is often the word that Nick Sirianni uses to describe his play, and I think he's going to be just fine on Sunday.
And if you read the article, he mentions the total yards over the first two games of the playoffs. He mentioned the amount of sacks that he took last week against the Rams defense, which, by the way, the Rams had a bunch of sacks in their first playoff game. The snow was a factor, and the offensive line didn't play well. It's not like it was just all on Jalen Hurts. He took some bad sacks, but the O-line didn't help him. But, Ralph also mentions the concussion, and maybe there's lingering effects or something like that.
What is he, a doctor?
Yeah, what would lead him to even suggest that?
He says this in the article. Hurts swears he's not feeling the effects of the concussion he suffered in Washington on December 22nd or any rust from sitting out the last two games of the regular season. And he hasn't blamed anything on the injured finger on his left throwing hand, nor did he admit that his lack of mobility late in the game against Los Angeles was because of the injured left knee. But it's pretty clear that something is off. And after a game in which the Eagles netted just 65 passing yards, even Hurts acknowledged he in the passing game were capable of so much more.
Well, that can be a fair statement. These people pretending to be doctors.
Yeah.
With no knowledge.
Dr. Quinn, medicine woman.
Exactly. That's an old reference. These guys would not know that.
You know it, though. That was Jane Seymour back in yesteryear.
She's quite attractive.
But, yeah, look, and the passing game hasn't looked like it did in 2022 all season long. So I don't know why all of a sudden this is a prominent talking point, and obviously it has become one because the Eagles are playing in the biggest game to date this season. But Jalen Hurts is playing efficient, winning football, and he's making critical throws when needed, which I think is the most relevant talking point.
Right.
in the fourth quarter, he's making plays to keep the game on schedule and really put teams away.
I'm looking at this matchup, and I would say this. This is a game to me that if the Eagles don't beat themselves, they can't lose. Is that too chesty? If the Eagles don't turn, if I said to you right now at the end of the game, the Eagles will have no turnovers. They are not going to turn the ball over themselves. Okay? They play a clean game. I don't think they can lose.
I think that's fair. I think that's fair because turnovers were the Achilles heel in that second matchup, and even still, they were a Devontae Smith drop away from winning that game. John, if they play a clean game, I don't think that's you being too chesty. I think that's realistic.
So I have this question for you because I just saw something from Dan Orlovsky on social media. How would you try to defend Jaden Daniels in this matchup? I'm curious to get your opinion on it because Dan Orlovsky just gave some pretty impressive stats for Jaden Daniels when blitzed. But I'm curious to hear what you would do.
No, I wouldn't blitz him. He's very good at handling the blitz.
Yeah.
I would
that plays into Vic Fangio anyway. He doesn't want to blitz.
Right. You got to keep contained with your edge rushers, which I think Nolan Smith is going to be especially critical in this game. And he has, in the first matchup, Nolan Smith was excellent. Nakobe Dean was excellent. Whenever Jaden Daniels tried to step up and run, Nakobe was right there. And there's a play that I can remember vividly where he stopped him on third down with a shoelace tackle. That's where attention to detail, that's where getting off blocks and making the tackle when he does try to run the football becomes paramount. But I think it all starts with the edge rushers. And this goes back to Jalen Carter, collapsing the pocket and forcing Jaden Daniels to move to his left or to his right. And then it opens things up for other players to take shots and get him uncomfortable.
So here's the numbers from Dan Orlovsky. Average QBR is 50. Perfect QBR is 100. During Washington's 7-game winning streak, Jaden Daniels has a 98.5 QBR when blitzed. He's been blitzed on 81 plays, 71% completion percentage, 41 first downs, and just 3 sacks taken in those 81 plays.
That's especially impressive.
That's impressive.
There is one good thing, though, and I know Jeff Kerr from CBS had these numbers yesterday. Jalen Hurts has been spectacular when blitzed.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And against Washington, he's been spectacular when blitzed. So it's like, I know that there's an advantage to them. This is something Vic Fangio doesn't want to do.
No, he
doesn't want to blitz.
No, he doesn't traditionally blitz. But, yeah, I mean, Jaden Daniels has been highly efficient when sort of diagnosing pressure and things like that. For a rookie quarterback, by the way. But I don't think that would be the Eagles' approach anyway. They're going to try to play contain and not let him escape the pocket.
By the way, one writer down in Washington said this is the Brian Johnson revenge game.
Stop that. Who said that?
One of their bloggers for things. This is Brian Johnson's going to be extra motivated this week. What?
Yeah, it's the Eagles' revenge on having to watch him coach last year.
To make sure that Brian Johnson's going to make sure he gets the right donuts on Sunday morning.
How did Sean Desai fare last week?
Make sure that he's going to make sure Dan Quinn's coffee's piping hot when he gets it at Dunkin' Donuts. Would you stop?
I don't.
For God's sakes.
Revenge game for an assistant.
Hey, he's going to make sure that digital tape is ready to go.
Content's content, Johnny. Content is content. All right, coming up next, we got one more segment with Andrew. So that means prediction time. And DiCecco has been predicting a lot of things and how the games happen. You were very close to Darius Slay's interception last week. It went through his hands. So how does this game play out? Andrew DiCecco tells us next. It is Kincade Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Keeping an eye on the injury report again. I'm Connor Thomas. This update is brought to you by Moyer Indoor Outdoor Services, locally family owned and operated for 150 years. Moyer's been keeping lawns green and lush and homes pest free. Go to eMoyer.com for free estimates. We've reached Friday of NFC Championship game weekend. The Eagles, well, they're still keeping an eye on the injury report, but the focus has shifted a little bit. Quinyon Mitchell and Jalen Hurts were both full participants in practice yesterday, but Cam Jurgens and Dallas Goedert both missed their second straight practice. That brings some concerns on the offensive line, and Nick Sirianni didn't sound really definitive yesterday when he talked about Cam Jurgens.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where he is. I mean, it's hard to predict these things this far out.
There will be a lot of people holding their breath in Philadelphia this weekend, seeing if Jurgens and Goddard will be ready to go. We'll get another injury report today. Again, Sunday, 3 p.m., NFC Championship game against Washington. You guys know the drill. The Flyers fell to the Rangers 6-1 last night. They'll play the Islanders tonight at 7:30. That game on WMMR. Sixers host the Cavs tonight, 7 p.m. That game here on The Fanatic. This update's also brought to you by WorldwideStereo.com. Worldwide Stereo's new trade-in program helps making upgrading your home audio simple and accessible. Trade in your used audio and video gear for superior sound in 2025. Learn more at WorldwideStereo.com. I'm Connor Thomas, reminding you the live coverage of the Eagles and Commanders in the NFC Championship from Westwood One starts Sunday afternoon at 2 here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Ricky Vitalico.
If I came in bases loaded, nobody out, I got the first two guys out. Third guy, I leave a pitch down the middle of the plate. He hits a grand slam. I get the next guy out with 2 pitches. I get out of there in 10 pitches, and somebody walks up and says, hey, you only made 1 bad pitch.
Has plenty to say about sports in Philly.
Did you see where it ended up? I mean, but that's the point I'm trying to say. Hey, if I go through my seasons and I was able to pick out like 6 bad games,
with our man Andrew DiCecco. And don't forget, coming up at 10 o'clock, the Mike Missanelli Show, Bill Colarulo and Ray Dunn. They're going to be broadcasting live from Rally House. It's your city, it's your house, it's Rally House in the Willow Grove location. So make sure if you're looking for some Birds gear, stop on by and see Mikey and Bill and Ray at the Rally House in Willow Grove. Good time to get some Birds gear if you haven't yet this year.
That's a great one, too, by the way.
Yes, it is. I've done the show from there a couple of times.
That's a great one.
They got such great locations.
There's no bad one. Let's be honest.
No, it's just
right.
you end up like with children where parents lie. They have favorites. You get favorites.
Yeah.
Parents lie. But they don't have a favorite kid.
That's why I only had one.
My mom.
Just so I don't have to pick.
My dad, his favorite was my sister, and my mom, her favorite was my brother. And then I was left out in the cold.
The Eagles' favorite son this weekend is going to be Jaden Daniels.
Some of us may say I was the favorite for both. You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN and WPEN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studios, powering possibility. So, Andrew, you've done a great job talking about everything this entire hour about this upcoming game. But let's get to the serious stuff here. We'll get your score prediction coming up in a little bit, but you've been spectacular with predicting on how games will play out. So start offensively. What are some of the things you are expecting to see? Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, who's been quiet so far in the playoffs. What are the things you're expecting to see how this game plays out for the Eagles offense on Sunday, and then we'll get to the defense.
Early throws to A.J. Brown, short completions to get the ball to Jalen's hands and get the offense really on schedule. But I am expecting, Andrew, a very run-heavy approach with Saquon Barkley, knowing that the Commanders are extremely deficient at defending the run. The Eagles' offensive line are going to play a bully ball style as they have all season. That's where they're going to dominate the point of attack, get Saquon Barkley going, shorten the game, and keep your quarterback upright. That's how I see it playing out offensively.
Okay, and what about defense?
Defensively, they're not going to throw the kitchen sink at Jaden Daniels. You just rattled off the numbers about how impressive he's been against the blitz, nor is that Vic Fangio's style. But I think that they're going to tackle a heck of a lot better than they did the first couple of matchups, and certainly last weekend. But I'm expecting Nolan Smith to come up with the sack. I would expect Jalen Carter to really prove disruptive in the middle of that interior, and provide pressure on Jaden Daniels. And I think C.J. Gardner-Johnson is going to come away with an interception this week. I think that the secondary is going to be extremely deceptive and give some unique looks and confuse.
Now,
Jaden
do you think he's jumping a route, or is this a mistake by Jaden Daniels, which we have seen him make against the Eagles specifically? Reed Blankenship had that interception earlier in the year where it was overthrown. He was there.
He dove for it. All of his interceptions, by the way, look the same. Yeah, I talked to him about that.
But do you think that's a mistake throw, or CJ GJ jumping a route?
No, I think he's jumping a route like he did against Dallas.
Okay.
If Jaden Daniels beats them with his legs, not beats them for the game, but has success with his legs, will it be around the edge, or is it going to be taking it up a slot in the middle of the field?
I think it will be up the middle. I do. I think it'll be break and contain. He might find a pocket and run kind of like you saw in that first matchup. He's also prone to, if he finds a crease and stretch it outside, he'll do that too. But what I'm also looking at, guys, is how the Eagles choose to defend running back Austin Eckler, who is especially effective on those short dump-offs, getting in space and taking advantage of his short area quickness, kind of like me. But
yeah, damn right, just like you.
But no, I think that, and I spoke to Oren Burks about this. Trotter Jr., I spoke to him yesterday about this. It's a challenge that every linebacker, every second-level player really looks forward to, and they've really done a nice job against Kyron Williams last week, making some critical tackles. So it's about getting those players down in space and not letting them pick up extra yards after their catch.
Now, real quick, because we didn't really get into this following the Rams game too deeply, but what did you see from Oren Burks out there in relief of the injured Nakobe Dean? Like, did you notice a major difference?
I think that's a great question, and I know Dan Orlovsky even highlighted this play, and I'm glad that he did because I don't think Oren Burks gets enough credit. And I think going into that week, everyone wanted to just automatically replace him with Jeremiah Trotter Jr. But there is a play that he made on a screen that the Rams had extremely blocked up well downfield, And if he doesn't make that tackle, Kyron Williams likely scores on that play.
Wow.
He stops him with a shoestring tackle. There's another third down play where he got his hand up to deflect the pass. Early on in that game, it looked like him and Zach Baum were sort of filling things out because Zach Baum was wearing the green dot. But it really looked like that was two veteran players settling into the flow of the game. He attacked downhill. He was active. He flowed to the football. And I think that, it's not easy to fill in for Nakobe Dean, but I thought he did an admirable job, and he looked like the veteran that he is. This will now be his 14th postseason game on Sunday.
And it's funny, Vic Fangio, just prime Vic Fangio, was asked about the Jeremiah Trout Jr. thing, and he basically said, yeah, we just kept Doran in there because he was playing okay. Like, not
he's not gonna give
over
anything.
the top, like,
Yes.
man, he was great out there. That's why it was just...
He's not going to gush.
He was playing okay, so
yeah.
we just kept him out there.
But I think in these high leverage moments, that's where you want a veteran linebacker out there that's seen it all, knows how to react, and can sort of play off and counter what teams are looking to do, versus throwing a rookie linebacker in there and you have to worry about Sean McVay trying to take advantage and be deceptive pre-snap and kind of fool him with his eyes.
So when you're saying, as you rewatched what happened in that last matchup, especially that fourth quarter, when everything sort of fell apart, you look at that like as a blip on the radar?
Absolutely.
I
think the weather certainly played a part in it because the Eagles in the previous matchup with the Rams, they held...
No, I'm talking about the Commanders.
Oh, and the Commanders, yeah.
That fourth quarter against the Commanders, you give up 21 points, which was a total oddity for this team all year. Is that a blip? You look back and you confidently say that's a blip on the radar.
Yeah, and C.J. Gardner-Johnson not being back there, who is the primary communicator on the back end, when you throw another player in mid-game and Washington's already in the flow of the game and they have the defense reeling, that certainly impacted it a little bit. And I thought that game was heavily officiated. So when you're a team that's kind of on their heels, that doesn't necessarily play in your favor. But that I can't emphasize enough how critical that loss of C.J. Gardner-Johnson getting ejected in that game was. And that's why I think they're going to be on high alert to make sure that doesn't happen again.
So, speaking of high alert, and I know we've talked about this a little bit, is Frankie Luvu high alert for the officials? Because the Joe Witt comments that we played for you earlier, and I know you talked about it yesterday, it's weird that he said it publicly, but if Frankie Luvu doesn't knock out Jalen Hurts the last time they play, maybe we're not making as big of a deal of it. But the last time these two teams played, they did hit the quarterback like a running back. Still shocked there was no flag on that play. Is Frankie Luvu now building the reputation? You saw what happened in the game against the Lions and the shot that he took on Jared Goff. Could he be penalized a little bit quicker on Sunday?
Absolutely, before it gets out of hand. He's a player that they have to take into account. They have to circle him and know that he's going to play the game like a heat-seeking missile. But he throws his body around carelessly. That's a team that we talk about, they feel like they have nothing to lose. Well, he's a player that kind of throws his body around and plays reckless, so I would expect Landon Dickerson. I think Landon Dickerson has become the tone setter on that offensive line. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets to the second level and lays a nice block and says, welcome to Philadelphia.
Love that.
Okay, excuse me.
Oh, she's you all right over there?
Yeah, I got a cougher. Dylan wants to know, not our Dylan, not Dylan McKinnon, wants to know, how does the run game affected if Landon Dickerson is our center on Sunday?
Great question. So that would put Tyler Steen. This is all hypothetical, obviously, but this will put Tyler Steen at left guard. Tyler Steen has been an effective player whenever called upon. He played over 300 snaps this year, and every time I talk to him, he reiterates the messaging from offensive line coach and run game coordinator Jeff Stoutland that prepare as if you are the starter, and he really has all season long. He's actually more comfortable on the left side than he is on the right side, and Landon Dickerson is quickly becoming one of the NFL's best offensive linemen. So whether you put him at center, whether you put him at left guard, he's going to clear out some space, and he plays with the attitude. So I think that gives them a lot more size on the offensive line, if nothing else.
All right, before we get to your prediction, I have one more question for you. The way Jaden Daniels is being talked about, and John and I talked about this yesterday toward the end of the show, the way he's being talked about, deservedly so. Right? The guy's been incredible, one of the best rookie quarterbacks in the history of the NFL. But I hear him being talked about on the national stage of, no moment's too big for him. He doesn't get bothered by the moment. He's just fine, blah, blah, blah. I've seen him make mistakes against the Eagles twice this year. Is there a chance that the NFC Championship game, and I'm asking chance, that the stage could get a little bit too big for him as a rookie, one win away from the Super Bowl?
I think so, and we have no reason to assume that it won't. I mean, this is now going to be their fourth road game. It's going to be a raucous Lincoln Financial Field. That place will be shaking. And sometimes if the Eagles get out to an early lead, especially, that puts an insurmountable amount of burden on a rookie quarterback, I imagine, to feel like you have to be Superman and make every play. And that's where Jalen Carter and Nolan Smith and those players can really mess with your mind. And I think that it is going to be a game in which he kind of, I don't want to say folds under the pressure because I do believe he's going to make some plays, but I think this moment might be a little bit too big for him.
I'm anxious to see the amount of pedigreed defensive players. They've been through national championship games. A lot of them. They played in big games.
The moment's not too big for them.
I don't think I don't think Sunday will phase them. The Commanders, not so much.
Exactly.
Not so much.
I'm telling you, I think this defense is going to really, really bring the heat this week, and they're going to be the driving force to the Eagles win.
All right, you gave us the Chauncey Gardner-Johnson interception. DiCecco. What's your score prediction?
27-17 Philadelphia.
Oh, a 10-point victory.
We reconvene in New Orleans.
No, we reconvene Monday.
Well, Monday
right in
here,
that
yes.
seat.
Yes, literally, yes.
Wow, 27-17. That's nice. I like that a lot. All right, Andrew, thanks,
tasty.
man. We appreciate the time as always.
Appreciate
brother.
you guys.
All right, coming up next, John and I continue. Again, Mike Missanelli Show coming your way at 10 o'clock today. John has a little bit of a prediction that he touched on with Andrew, but you'll hear it more next. Also, NBC Sports Philadelphia did some matchups to watch for this Sunday's game. They have a lot of good statistics in it, so we'll go through that next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
ESPN's Tim McManus on the best show ever.
Where I stand with her.
presented to you by The Bagster. It's a dumpster in a bag. You can get yours today at Home Depot and Lowe's. You need details? Go to Bagster.com.
It is 9:12 on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. I have some numbers from NBC Sports Philadelphia. Dave Zangaro, great job as always.
He does a really nice job.
Breaking down the upcoming matchup. But before we get to that, you have a prediction. Now, not score, but obviously, look, we're not going to hide it. We have the Eagles winning this game. But you wrote something down for me this morning to put on the show sheet here on how the Eagles will win on Sunday.
Yes.
So can you talk about
the question is how the Eagles are going to win on Sunday. Look, there is well, first off, I think this is going to be the cleanest. I think this is going to be the cleanest game that they played. But I do believe that I think the defense is going to run them out of the building. And I just
Andrew DiCecco has the Commanders only scoring 17 points.
There's all this talk about we'll have my prediction later. Wow. I think that there's a lot of talk about, I think the biggest misnomer of the week when we look back on this game is going to be, wow, can the Eagles offense match Washington score for score?
Right.
That totally disregards that the number one defense in the NFL is playing in this game.
Yeah.
And one of the leakier defenses in the NFL is on the other side. So that argument makes no sense for me. Unless you think, and I do think Jaden Daniels is great. Not good, great. I think he's the best rookie quarterback ever, period. I think the Eagles defense is going to own this game.
We'll put last game's situation because of the snow to the side. But the game before that, the Packers. All the national media people, Packers are going to put up points. They scored 10.
Yes.
They scored 10 points.
I look, it's not unless.
And I know they lost their receivers in the second half of that game, but they were getting nothing in the first half of that game.
No, they weren't.
10 points.
I am expecting the Let's Hunt. I haven't seen the Let's Hunt in the first two playoff games.
Okay.
I believe we're going to see Let's Hunt. I think we are going to see
I love that.
A defense that, in a way, tees off a bit.
Okay. I love hearing that.
And win this matchup. The offensive line of the Commanders, I think, will betray them. And that will be one of the major storylines we're talking about on Monday.
Especially with Cosme out. That's a pretty big loss for them.
Hey, that's a troublesome one. That's troublesome.
What's going to end first? The hey, or the Isaiah Rodgers gambling?
Well, Cosme's done.
Both.
Cosme's done. Hey, the harbingers of comedy. Yes, the two of you. Bags of laughs. Would you please?
All right, you want to smile, I guess?
Yes, I do want to smile.
I maybe smile. We'll see. We'll go through this. So Dave Zangaro, NBC Sports Philadelphia, did some key things to keep an eye on for this upcoming game. So here are the matchups. The first one, Vic Fangio versus Jaden Daniels. And obviously Dave writes up about the fourth quarter and how great Jaden Daniels was in that fourth quarter. Had 110 passer rating in that fourth quarter with the big comeback. Now, we mentioned the blitz rate.
Okay.
And how successful Jaden Daniels has been against the blitz in the 7-game winning streak. When they played each other in Week 11, Fangio only dialed up a blitz 12.5% of the snaps over the course of that entire game. The last time they played, it was 35.6%. But I do wonder, did the Jalen Hurts injury impact some things?
Well, it did. I mean, honestly, think of how many more. Would you imagine that with those turnovers after Jalen left the game?
Yeah.
That instead of averaging 5 plays after the turnovers, that Jalen would have managed at least an average of 7 plays, 8 plays.
Yeah.
Okay, that keeps the ball away.
Right.
It changes the entire sort of layout of that game.
Right. Absolutely does.
The way we look at it.
Dave also mentions that when Daniels scrambles, he typically goes to the right-hand side because he's a right-handed thrower. So Fangio may be able to find a way to funnel him to his left.
Could this be the way, like in Jalen Hurts' first career playoff game, that Todd Bowles made him roll exactly where they wanted him
to go every single time?
And
it could be.
And he's crafty like that. Look, that's something that he should be able to handle.
Yeah.
To be able to pull off. Whether Jaden can still perform under that pressure, we'll find out.
All right, the next matchup that they're going to watch, Jalen Carter versus the backup right guard. Against the Rams, Carter had 5 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits, 1 pass breakup, and a forced fumble. That's a pretty good game. Against the Rams, Carter left the field just twice. He was double-teamed on 26 of his 49 pass rushes per Next Gen Stats, which is just crazy. They're expecting more of the same, especially if they're going to give the backup guard some help. But Cosby this season was the 23rd ranked offensive guard. So you're going from a pretty low ranked offensive guard to a backup, which will be pretty damn good for Jalen Carter. Trent Scott is the guy that will be most likely filling in. Scott played in 17 games this season, started in 1. Against the Lions, he played 45 snaps, 19 pass blocking reps, and didn't give up a single pressure. So he did have a good day filling in. But then again, at that point, the Lions weren't pinning their ears back because they were trailing.
Correct. A completely different situation.
So they weren't really getting after it all that much. Eagles linebackers was Brian Robinson and Austin Eckler. Now, this is an interesting one because Brian Robinson, good runner, and you're obviously, the way we talk about Jalen Hurts and Saquon, the threat for Jalen to run, you also have that with Jaden Daniels. But Austin Eckler's been good out of the backfield catching the football and has done it against the Eagles. He had 8 catches for 89 yards in the first time they played each other. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on, what Austin Eckler can do out of the backfield, especially now that it's Oren Burks and not Nakobe Dean.
I'm telling you, you're making me feel better.
Good.
Like that, well, Dave Zangaro.
He's the
be
best.
honest.
Yeah.
He's
I'm just the
He's
messenger.
making me feel, but I'm feeling better with everything you're saying. And I think every fan should sort of feel the same way.
Now, lastly, this one will make you smile the most. Saquon Barkley versus the Commanders' run defense.
Okay. 26
carries, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns in the first matchup. 29 carries, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns in the second matchup. Now, I get it. After the first quarter, Saquon was not great in that game against the Commanders last time these two teams played. But what happened, John? Just as a reminder.
Let's just say it was all over the place.
Because that guy, J.P. Finley, you and I were talking about him off the air.
Yes.
He put out a tweet the other day like, everyone's talking about how great he ran the last time. These are his numbers in the first quarter. These are his numbers in the second through fourth quarters. Do you guys not remember that Jalen Hurts got knocked out of the freaking game?
Oh, my gosh.
Like, it's unbelievable.
Nah, it's called wishing and hoping.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like Finley, though. Like him, though.
Yeah.
But that's sort of dumb.
All right, coming up next, we got to do our pick segment.
I'm ready.
There's only 2 games left.
And you can eliminate both of us this weekend. You can win the title before the Super Bowl.
I got to do some research. I haven't even looked yet.
He's going to choke.
Wow. All right, Connor. I hope you lose. I've been rooting for you guys all season long. Now, all of a sudden, you want me to choke. That's very disappointing.
I wanted you to choke all season long.
So we'll do our pick segment next. Of course, there's going to be probably some Eagles props because it's only Eagles and Commanders and then the Bills-Chiefs game that's left.
We got 2 games to work off
So we'll get into that coming up next. It's Kincade and Salciunas on this Football Friday, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
A shift in the injury focus. I'm Connor Thomas, and as we reach Friday of NFC Championship week, the Eagles' injury concerns have shifted a little bit away from Quinyon Mitchell and Jalen Hurts, who both practiced in full yesterday, and on to Cam Jurgens and Dallas Goedert, who both missed their second straight practice, according to yesterday's injury report. Nick Sirianni didn't have much to say about Cam Jurgens, sounded a little iffy.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where he is. I mean, it's hard to predict these things this far out.
And that's fair from the competitive advantage standpoint, but it could be worrisome to some Eagles fans. We'll have to hold our breath over the weekend and hope that Jurgens and Goddard are good to go. The Flyers fell to the Rangers 6-1 last night. They'll play the Islanders tonight at 7:30. That game on WMMR. Sixers host the Cavaliers tonight at 7 p.m. That game on The Fanatic. This update is brought to you by Gary Barbera. Is Gary Barbera the best? Boy, I guess. Get Barbera Jeeps extra cheap during Coach Nick's week. Drive like Brandon Graham and Coach Nick's pick. Gary Barbera's playoffs payoff. Is Barbera the best? Boy, I guess. I'm Connor Thomas, reminding you that live coverage of the Eagles and Commanders in the NFC Championship from Westwood One starts Sunday afternoon at 2 p.m. here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Bill Colarulo.
Now we keep hearing the Eagles can't keep winning this way. Well, let's flip the script a little bit. Let's look at the
105 on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. We were just hanging out with Ray Dunn during the commercial break.
Love Ray Dunn.
He will be here at the studio. My apologies for the people that are standing outside of Rally House waiting for Ray Dunn.
The young women that are knee-deep. By the way, can I say it too? I'll say it. It adds to the cachet.
Sure.
We were doing the show, Andrew DiCecco and I doing the early show, as we will do this week, 9 to 11, with Bill Colarulo joining in. And Ray Dunn showed up during our show.
Yeah.
And Andrew DiCecco takes off the headsets during a commercial break, and he turns to me and he goes, "Do you see the beautiful women all lined up around Ray Dunn?" There were 4 very attractive ladies, and they were circling Ray Dunn like it was a buffet.
People swoon over Ray Dunn. What can we say?
I'm telling you, he is he's a stud and a star in the rise.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's awesome.
It's that ESPN Plus check that they're
Connor
after,
was
man.
right across the room, and they were all around Ray. It's all I'm saying.
I play hard to get. That's the next level strategy,
People
baby.
are saying. Ray's actions behind you are making me laugh.
Yeah, there
all
he
right,
is.
let's do some picks. Hit us with some music there, Mr. Thomas. All right, did we all go 2-2?
Everybody went 2-2.
So it carries over?
But leading into this week, let's just do the wins because we've all played the same amount of games. We have all had 80 picks this year.
Yes.
Connor has 46 winners. I have 48 winners. You have 52 winners. Andrew has a magic number of 3 over Connor. Any combination of Andrew wins and Connor losses will eliminate him.
We got magic number talk. I feel like it's baseball. I feel like it's baseball season again.
Andrew has a magic number of 5 to eliminate me. So any combination of my losses and Andrew wins, we could have a champion on Monday on the show.
Well,
before
hopefully
the
I
Super Bowl.
can knock out all 4 here for you guys.
Let's see what you can do.
All right, I'm going to start with a Dallas Goedert prop.
Really?
His receptions, interesting, is only 3.5.
I saw that.
Now, the playoff games, he only had 4 catches in both of those games, but both impactful obviously both games very impactful.
Sure.
4 for 47 and a touchdown, 4 for 56 last week. I don't see why Jalen Hurts would all of a sudden shy away from going to Dallas Goedert with the impact that he has made. So I have Dallas Goedert's over 3.5 receptions. Josh Allen.
Okay.
Interesting.
So you're going to the other game.
Passing
already.
yards, only 230.5. Now, they've been running the football very well, and it's not like he's playing with world beaters at wide receiver. But, man, if this is the year where he finally beats Kansas City, he's going to have to do it throwing the football. Last week, he throws for 127. I don't think he's doing that again. Josh Allen over 230.5. And I might as well say it while I'm at it. Bills plus 1.5. I would say outright because I think this is the year they do it, but I'll give myself the 1.5.
No, you take the points. If it's there, you take them.
And lastly,
right?
Jalen.
Even though if you're betting on your app, if you believe Andrew, you should just bet the money line.
Yes. Lastly, Jalen Hurts. Over under passing yards down to 179.5. It'll be a nice 40-degree day. I believe they will need to score points in order to win this game. I don't think they're going to keep the Commanders to just 17 like the way our man Andrew DiCecco said. But, hey, if there's anybody to listen to, it is Andrew DiCecco. But I do think the Eagles are going to have to score a little bit more. Hurts over 179.5.
All right. Good job, Andrew. I like those. I am going to go with 1 pick in our game and 3 picks in the late afternoon game. 1, Austin Eckler. When the Commanders trail in games, Austin Eckler gets a lot more involved in their passing game. So his reception number, much like you used the Dallas Goedert one, I'm going Austin Eckler over 2.5 receptions.
See, I had written down Austin Eckler 24.5 receiving yards, and then I remembered the nonsense that you guys spewed at me in week 1. Oh, you can't put an opposing team player's prop on there.
Yes, you can.
And you're doing it in the championship
Sure
game.
you can. I've done it this year.
Get the tape.
Because I know that's going to
You
work.
guys both gave me crap for the Jaden Reed receiving prop.
Austin Eckler,
both of you.
It doesn't impact the game as far as a touchdown or anything. He'll be involved in the passing game because they'll be trailing. Travis Kelce, over 70.5 yards receiving. Travis Kelce, for his career, is an average guy to be in the high 70s receiving in playoff games. He will make an impact in this game. Patrick Mahomes will have over 4.5 rushing attempts In fact,
rushing attempts. Wow.
Rushing attempts.
Yeah.
I think he is going to be running on this Bills defense, and so I think that's going to be a good one for him. And here's one for you, very popular guy. Harrison Butker under 7.5 points. He will account for it.
Okay.
I do not think that the Chiefs are going to be kicking field goals because he, much like our kicker, has not been reliable.
Well, and they need touchdowns, probably.
I'll go under 7.5 points for Harrison Butker.
All right, Connor, you're up.
All right, so I really am interested in this one because we've been talking about Cam Jurgens all week. Dallas Goedert been on the injury report a couple times, too. And I really think the Eagles are going to try and get Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown involved. So I know you like the 3.5, Andrew, for the over. I like the under on Goddard 3.5 receiving yards.
Wow, okay.
I also think Kansas City's defense, they're tricky. And going into Arrowhead is not easy. And Josh Allen, well, they may try and keep the ball on the ground a little bit more. His over-under on passing yards is 230.5. I'm going to take the under.
I had it over. So look at this. He's gone under 2 of my bets.
I think that is a good way for him to potentially climb back in also.
I don't like betting against Mahomes in the postseason, even though I think the Bills are a very good team. I think the Chiefs win, and I think they cover the 1.5.
So he's the opposite of my first 3 picks. What are you going to do? Are you going to take Hurts' under?
Rounding out, Jalen Hurts, 179.5 passing yards. Seems a little high for what he's done in the postseason this year, so we're going to go Jalen Hurts under.
So you're going against all 4 of my picks.
Wait a minute. So Hurts is under.
Chiefs minus 1.5. Josh Allen under passing yards. Goddard under receptions.
Steady up, man.
Let's go, baby. I got to make some hay to get back into this thing.
And you know what, Connor? I don't look. You're trying to win the game. You're our friend. Would definitely approve of that.
You play to win the game.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is I root for your bets. I can't do that this week.
Well, I'm just rooting for my bets. I'm not rooting against your bets.
I love
Checkmate, Salciunas.
You are rooting against my bets because you're literally betting the opposite of all my bets.
I didn't know what you were going to bet.
You know what you did, though? You might have done something, though, that you unexpectedly do. If you have a good weekend, Connor, you've clearly opened the door then for me.
Hey, right back in it.
To be able to smack you. Well, I'm only a few back, but I'm in trouble too, so we'll see.
My target is Salciunas. We'll take you out when we get our chance.
There we go.
There's your picks. Wow, Connor going to get up against all 4 of them.
Fade.
You know, Connor, and I'll say it in.
Fading the guy in first place.
I'll say it here. I was going to rip you to shreds if you didn't fade some of our picks who he's trailing. Like I was going to be like, what are you thinking? You have to fade. And he's doing it. And by the way, if you look at Connor's picks, I don't think yours are outrageous, and I don't think his are outrageous.
They're good lines.
That's why Vegas is great because they
are.
They are right on the number,
I mean, look at
man.
the 6.5 last week for the Rams. And the missed extra points, and it's 6 points. I mean, it's crazy.
The 8.5 in the Chiefs game, it was just like everything was spot on.
So we were talking about this yesterday, John. One of the worst beats I could have ever seen.
Okay.
So Temple lost to North Texas, unfortunately, the other day. North Texas playing the game last week. And let me try this. I forget who they played up against. But they were up 4. Somebody hit a dagger 3, make it a 4-point game. And they thought the clock expired. There ended up being 0.3 of a second left. They had to get the players back on the court. The players left. They thought the game was over. So they had to get them back on the court. And instead of just inbounding it and the guy just holding it, the guy just does a desperation hook shot from 3/4 court. Bang. Hits it. The team still loses by 1. But then the over hit. And majority of the money was on the under. All because of a fluky, basically half court or 3/4 court, half court.
That's a bad beat. That's a bad beat.
Unbelievable. Vegas, man.
They know.
They know exactly what they're doing. It's unbelievable. All right, coming up next, we'll have the Kincade Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show. But before that, we usually do it before we get out of here. But we're going to take some extra time here to give our prediction on how this game plays out, the score, and some moments. It is Kincade and Salciunas on a Football Friday as we get you closer and closer to the NFC Championship game. The Eagles are in it, and they're hosting it against the Commanders, a team you should beat. We're talking Super Bowl. My God. 97.5 The Fanatic.
Now, a Birds
Salciunas. Don't forget, 10 o'clock today, Mike Missanelli Show. Mike and Bill will be at the Rally House in Willow Grove. Ray Dunn back here at the studio.
It's your city, it's your house.
It's Rally House, man. Go get your gear. I imagine if things go the way we expect them to on Sunday.
Monday morning will be a zoo.
Yeah, Rally House where you get your NFC Championship gear, man. Which I'm pro.
You are pro that?
But I'm not pro getting a Super Bowl shirt like before the game. Because
why?
If they lose, why?
See, now to me, I'm against buying the NFC Champs gear before the Super Bowl.
I got you.
Because I want Super Bowl champions gear. But then I'll round back to Rally House and get it.
Okay.
I have an NFC Championship thing from Super Bowl 57.
Right.
But the Super Bowl shirt, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I have a lightweight that I got in Arizona, lightweight hoodie from Super Bowl 57. Even though they didn't win the game, I can wear it.
Yeah.
I feel comfortable with
It's just like I love it. It's one of the most comfortable shirts. My dad got me the 2022 World Series shirt. And it's
no.
Well, what about the one that Mike Missanelli was taking me out at the knees for wearing?
Well, that
our
one,
fine friends at the Phillies gave us.
But I agree.
The Red October.
The Red October.
Yeah.
I wear that sweatshirt all the time. But at home,
you don't wear it in public
or underneath something. I can't be flashing Red October where it lasted a week.
Yeah, that's
Mike
a good
Missanelli bullying me in the lunchroom, and I'm like, I haven't worn it since.
I have the NFC Championship, the NFC Champions hat on that I've been wearing all season long.
No, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Even though but the thing is, though, they're not NFC champions.
What do you mean?
They were. Like, I would wear that the year after.
But
but like it's
and
just
then
a
you'd
good
never
hat.
wear it again.
No, I wouldn't wear it.
Well, it has the year on it,
Come on.
probably, doesn't it?
I don't know, maybe somewhere. It's on my head, so I
Like
can't see it.
Haley was
I mean, you
wearing
could take
this.
your hat off.
Haley was
No, I
wearing
got
the
hat
Super
hair.
Bowl champions T-shirt the other day.
Yeah.
Do you wear those
Yeah, I have one.
from
somewhere.
8 years ago?
Yeah,
Do you?
dude,
Yeah.
yeah. It was one of the happiest moments of my life.
Oh, was happy. I just didn't.
man.
That's not.
It
I
does
go back
not
to
have
regular
the year.
gear.
Standing NFC champions, Philadelphia Eagles.
Damn
in my
right.
mind.
All right, then let's keep on rocking that. All right, let's give our predictions now.
Let's do it.
Because when we do the key three, we're normally up against it at the end of the show. So let's do our predictions now. Now I'm curious to hear yours because by the way your tone was, it almost seems like you're kind of in lockstep with Andrew DiCecco. But
Nah, I think he's a little soft.
oh. All right, I think this game's going to be a sweat. And I do believe it's going to be a little bit more of a high-scoring affair. I'm going to say the Eagles win, let's go, like 30-28. And
Oh, my gosh. Okay, we're all going to be sick in our stomach.
I just get that feeling that they're going to have to put up points, and I get the feeling that the Commanders will put up points. Maybe it's a garbage time touchdown at the end for the Commanders. Who knows? Kind of like the Thursday night matchup where they don't get the extra onside kick, and then the Eagles just need it, and it's game over. But I think this is going to be a tight one, man. And so that means they're not covering, and the over would hit in my prediction. I'm sure there's going to be another missed extra point, which is why I have 30, a weird number there. So 30-28 is the score that I'm going to give Eagles victory, and we're celebrating on Broad Street or Cottman Ave or Manayunk Main Street because that was where I was at after the Eagles won the Super Bowl. People will be celebrating for the NFC champion Philadelphia Eagles.
Jake the Make's leg's going to fall off. He's going to make 1 extra point, 2 extra points, 3 extra points, 4 extra points, and throw in a couple field goals too. Eagles 34-20.
Okay.
And the Commanders score in the fourth quarter to get to 20.
Oh, wow. All right.
The Eagles are going to win this game, and the Eagles are going to win this game, and it will be their best display of this postseason. 34-20. Love it. I don't like it. I love it. And by the way, yes, on the Parks app, I've already moved it over to 9.5.
I will say this. I love your prediction more than I love my prediction.
Because I got screwed last week.
I don't know how to feel about John's prediction because we are 1 point of difference.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh. Well, then you should feel like you're a little smarter.
34-21.
Wow, so you went the same way.
Eagles winning. Now, I have Jake Elliott missing an extra point to make it the 34, but I have the Eagles scoring 5 times.
Wait a
I
minute.
think they're monsters. So,
Now, if he has 34, he made all his extra points.
no, if you score 5 touchdowns times 7, that would be 35. Misses 1,
Oh,
puts
so
it
you
at
have
6.
5 touchdowns. I have the
do.
2 field goals.
Yeah,
I
they're
have
not,
Jake
they're not
going,
kicking field goals in this
I
game.
have Jake going nuts.
Okay.
I have Jake having a day that, as everybody, Jake.
I don't. I have him missing an extra point like he does in every postseason game.
Damn right, man.
But the defense is going to have a monster day. 3+ turnovers.
By the
forced.
way, too, I would like to bet on, if there was a prop on it, some sort of sell the Sixers or something else chant breaks out late in the game when the Eagles are, they are mocking Josh. That's what I'm suggesting.
I can only imagine what the people in front of the owner's booth, where Josh Harris will be sitting, what they will be saying.
I would suggest for Sunday that the building, that people are like, there should be a chant. There should be, no. Josh. Have fun with it.
They probably will.
I would like it.
I'm sorry to Real Mama Eagles. She just tweeted in. Now known as Professional Yapper Key because she's been hearing that from the Commanders.
Oh, she has been, yes.
She's asking if I'm trying to kill us with my score prediction.
Well, you are. You're killing.
I'm not trying to. It's just how I feel the game's going to go. I think this game's going to be a damn sweat, man. But ultimately, they win. And ultimately, we are celebrating. And it's going to be like last week's game where I had to run out of my house to do the reaction video because I needed the fresh air. I needed the cold. It was snowing when I went out there.
I had to wake you up.
I was too heated inside the house when the Eagles beat the Rams, so I had to go outside for it. So, yeah, I think it's going to be tight, but they get the win. They're the better team. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. That's what it came down to during the Packers discussion. It's what it came down to the Rams discussion. It's what it's coming down to this discussion. The Eagles are the better team. Plain and simple.
I love it.
All right, it is 9:48. It's time now for the Kincade Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show, brought to us by Vonsey Brewing.
Now, the Kincade Salciunas Key 3, today's best.
And a good football Friday, Philadelphia. Manchester Salciunas alongside my man John Kincade. Johnny, yes, 1 win away from the Super Bowl.
Okay, that just in and of itself starts this day off in a perfect way.
Today is the pep rally. It's the hype up train. It's the where we at kind of show because we are just days away from the NFC Championship game. And Johnny, I think you would agree with me. We've gotten the sense this week, or at least I've gotten the sense, but I imagine you agree, that people are more up for this one. That people are either expressing more confidence than in past weeks, or they're expressing more nervous energy, but not like the doom and gloom. It's just, oh my God, they win, they go to the Super Bowl. Like, I really want this to happen. But it feels like people are actually up for this game compared to the last two. This week's been a little bit different.
I think it's been a much more positive week.
Yes.
That makes us all smile a little bit because I want a chesty fan base.
Absolutely. They should be. They're 6.5-point favorites. This Eagles team, and how whether or not this Eagles team is in the best spot ever. Now, is it to get to the Super Bowl or to win?
This is the best spot ever to get to the Super Bowl. And I went back yesterday and looked at 2002 because I think that was the one. The 2002 season, January of 2003. I can tell you that this team is so much better than the 2002 team. I am saying it with the utmost respect because that team was freaking amazing. Should have went to a Super Bowl. This team's better. And I don't even think it's an argument.
Number one ranked defense, the weapons you have on offense.
It's not even an argument.
Not close.
This is the best team that the Eagles have ever had. The best team the Eagles have ever had. Sitting with a chance to go to the Super Bowl at home with a 6.5-point favorite. And the thing is, you're not disrespecting the Commanders by saying it. You are not in any way being overly obnoxious about your fandom. You're not being a fanboy. This is the best Eagles team that has ever had a chance to advance to a Super Bowl. Anything less is completely unacceptable.
Yeah.
Completely unacceptable. If this team doesn't cash this ticket, it's unacceptable.
If they poop the bed at home against the Commanders,
it's the worst loss.
Having a great season.
It's the worst loss.
Yeah, it would be horrible. Which is why I haven't even gotten a sense that is a case that would happen.
That's the way I feel too.
Like, I've been not chesty, but
you've been a little bit, but
I've been feeling pretty good all week long. Like, every time we do a read for our friends at Phillies Sports Trips about the fully refundable deposit, we always throw in the line of, yeah, but you're not going to get that deposit back because they're going to the Super Bowl. They're going to New Orleans. The Jalen Hurts knee situation, which you got some good information on, but we'll talk about that coming up in a little bit because there was some conflicting reports during practice yesterday from reporters versus players.
Important to note that nobody was in the media at practice.
Correct.
That is something we need to start with people.
Yes.
No media members were there for practice. They were there for warm-ups. They didn't see practice. Right. Now, that could be a good or bad thing.
Could be.
But
Could be.
nobody saw practice.
Kevin Burkhardt will be on the call Sunday. Kevin, good morning. What's going on, brother?
I really, truly think that if they need the passing game, it's going to be there for them. Now, look, it's one of those things that the reality is, there's not enough balls to go around sometimes. And if you have a game where Saquon's running for 200 and they haven't stopped him and you got the number one team in the league, what's wrong with winning like that?
I don't want to sound disrespectful toward the Commanders, but Connor said something earlier in the week, and he's spot on. We wanted the Commanders in the wild card round. So why all of a sudden now in the NFC Championship game would we not feel good about this matchup? I get it. They're hot right now. But how could I change my opinion over the course of 2 weeks about wanting to play them in the first round of playoffs and now all of a sudden be worried about them in the conference championship game? Like, no, this is the best draw that you could ask for. We talked about Eagles-Lions for months, and it didn't happen.
I would just suggest that everybody enjoy the moment, but stop with the nagging underdog mentality that's in the DNA. I hate having expectations on us. Celebrate expectations. Celebrate that you're a big favorite at home. Celebrate that it's the best team roster that they've ever had go into an NFC Championship game. Enjoy that. Soak it in. Wear it proudly. Don't do the, I'm afraid, what if they lose? And then I'm going to be disappointed. Then my friends will make fun of me. I mean, seriously, if you're scared of your own shadow, stay home. Seriously, stay home. Because you can't be that way about this team. Should not be about this team.
All right, that's the Kincade Salciunas Key 3. 3 best minutes from today's show. Brought to us by our friends at Von C. Brewing Company in Norristown. Check out their Key 3, like the OG Pills, legendary Philly Lager, which was the gold medal winner at the 2023 World Beer Cup for Best American Pilsner. They got the Walking on Clouds, Von C's flagship hazy IPA. Might have to dive into that this weekend if the Bears handle their business on Sunday. What else we got, Johnny?
They got the Vienna Lager, which has all the German ingredients. Live in Norristown. You can check it out because Norristown is very similar to Vienna. VonCbrewing.com. Sometimes German people visiting the States get lost. They head into Norristown. They're like, I'm home. I'm home. Dunkopf.
By the way, there's a Twitter account, RNB215.
Okay.
See his stuff pop up all the time.
Like a little R&B.
He's watching Good Morning Football. You should be listening to the show, but that's okay. He's watching Good Morning Football.
Wait a minute. Is Philip Kyriakis ripping me again today?
No, but they put up a graphic of like a Superman, but wearing, instead of it's the the red and blue,
right?
it's black and green and the Eagle logo on the chest.
Oh.
And they were talking about Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. So it's a cartoon body, but the real face. However, the face is not Chauncey Gardner-Johnson's. It's David Montgomery's.
No.
How do you mess that? How do you mess that up?
It's the NFL Network.
How do you mess that up?
It's the NFL Network.
It literally says C.J. Gardner-Johnson safety, and it's the Eagle logo on this like animated Superman body with David Montgomery's face on it.
They're not even on the same team.
That's ridiculous. Philip Kyriakis needs to do better. I'm telling you.
Kyle Brandt for
Kyle
people
Brandt does a good
who
job.
don't watch the soaps.
Well, he was on Days of Our Lives. Very good. Hey, I want to remind everybody, support life-saving cancer research. Join our partner, Davis CPA Group. They're good people. We got to get our taxes in.
Yep, I was texting with Ron just the other day.
Make a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research. You can do it at 975thefanatic.com/AACR because cancer research saves lives. I'm so excited. Sunday, I'll be on a 9 to 11 with Andrew DiCecco and Bill.
Yep.
Leading into you guys in the pregame show.
Yep, me, Connor, and Bill from 11 to 2, leading you up to the Westwood 1 coverage.
Wow.
You can hear the game live here on 97.5 The Fanatic. Mike Missanelli show coming your way next. Bill and Mike are at Rally House in Willow Grove. I just saw Colin Newby post a photo of their little setup where they're doing the show. And in that one photo, very small photo, there was like 600 things that I wanted to buy.
Is Mike going to sing the jingle today?
I hope so.
Over, under, how many times Mike sing the jingle?
If it's
over
under half.
It's over half.
So he does it one time.
I'll take the under.
I think Mike's singing today.
Well, Bill might. Bill likes
Bill
loves to sing. We know that.
Right.
Everybody have a great rest of your day. We'll talk to you Monday morning when we're reacting to
Sunday.
the NFC champion Eagles.
Talk to him Sunday
I'm talking about
first.
Kincade and Salciunas.
Oh, okay.
But that's pregame. I'm saying when we talk about the NFC champion Eagles.
That'd be good.
That's Monday morning.